5 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We're tracking hotter temperatures and potential storms. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell wants an assessment on the safety of public transportation after a WeGo bus driver was attacked yesterday by a rider with a kitchen knife.
We're asking MMPD and WeGo to kind of give us a refreshed assessment of are we leaving something on the table somehow with security at WeGo? We absolutely want it to be a safe place.
The suspect, 30-year-old Dorica Scavali, allegedly got on the bus screaming, stabbed the driver when the driver told her to quiet down, and is now charged with attempted murder. The bus driver is going to be okay. The father of a 14-year-old girl killed in an ATV crash in Nashville is facing several criminal charges. Police say 40-year-old Victor Mosqueda should not have let his daughter and another 14-year-old ride an ATV on a public street without supervision or helmets during a birthday party on May 11th. The ATV his daughter was on crashed into a Jeep. She died the following day at the hospital. Mosqueda is charged with criminally negligent homicide involving a minor. 2 counts of reckless endangerment by motor vehicle, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Food fight? More like fast food price wars. Wendy's now offering a $3 English muffin meal after McDonald's introduced its own meal deal. Here's Elizabeth Pancati. She's director of special initiatives at Roosevelt Institute.
$3 is generally a good deal for breakfast these days, but I think the real thing to note is it's a great deal for consumers at the drive-thru. It's an even better deal for Wendy's.
Yeah, there's apparently food price wars everywhere now. Grocery chains, that is, cutting prices to help with inflation. Target says it's slashing prices on about 5,000 frequently shopped items. In April, Walmart launched Better Goods, its biggest private food brand in 20 years, with most items priced under $5. And the fast-growing chain Aldi's introducing additional summer savings, cutting prices on more than 250 items. Market Numbers Report, brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
It was a big day for the big board to start the week. The Dow briefly reached an intraday high before it fell 197 points. The Nasdaq jumped 109 to close at an all-time high, and the S&P rose 5. Mickey Mouse is joining a union. Performers at Disneyland have voted to join the Actors Equity Association to form the unit called Magic United. California theme park is owned by the Walt Disney Company, the parent company of ABC News. Target is cutting prices on thousands of consumer basics this summer, from diapers to milk, in what it calls a bid to follow customers who are paying closer attention to their spending as inflation cuts into their household budgets. Frontier Airlines is making some changes, some big ones, as a matter of fact, when it comes to fees. It's eliminating change fees on some of its tickets, part of its appeal to get more people to fly the lower-cost airline. It has been lagging to JetBlue and to Southwest.
All right, let's check futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures up 3, S&P flat, NASDAQ down 20. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It hasn't happened since 1803. And it won't happen again for 200 years. The double brew is emerging. There could be trillions, and they're coming your way. So what can you do in a time like this? Sit back and enjoy a cup of cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Tastes great and totally free of noisy insects. It makes a great gift for friends and family. A great way to commemorate this once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Available for a limited time only at roboelephant.com.
5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver, Dan Mandis here. The Members Nutrition Super Text line is open as always. That phone number is 615-737-9986. Man, we've got a lot for you this morning. Really looking forward to Stephen Bucci joining us at 7:35. Going to talk about the death of Iran's president. What is next in Iran? 7:05, we are going to do a bit of a deep dive into the hush money trial, which I got to tell you, and headline from CNN, Michael Cohen admits stealing from the Trump organization. You know, one of the things that I thought was fascinating about the coverage yesterday, as it relates to the hush money investigation, the trial, and everything else, is the fact that you've got the media, and they seem so incredibly shocked and aghast that Michael Cohen admitted that he stole money from Donald Trump and the Trump organization. Now, here's the deal. I don't really understand why it is that they're so surprised, because Michael Cohen is basically a known crook. I grabbed this from Fox News from last night. This is a great montage on the media just absolutely shocked. You've got CNN, you've got MSNBC, and some of the networks as well. Michael Cohen, by the way, in case you don't know, on the witness stand yesterday, I guess I should set up the topic. On the witness stand yesterday during Donald Trump's hush money trial, the star witness for the prosecution gets on the stand, and Trump's attorneys were able to get Michael Cohen to admit that he stole money from Donald Trump. And listen to how the media covered all of this.
I'm still kind of reeling from the revelation that Michael Cohen stole money from the Trump organization, and that wasn't, at least to my knowledge, that the prosecution didn't get that out earlier.
The prosecution has painted Michael Cohen as sort of this bumbling, pathetic character whose only sins were his misguided, undying loyalty to Donald Trump. But now you see something a little different. Now there's an argument to be made that actually you're just an opportunistic thief.
Yes!
The fact that he was never charged with larceny is important, because stealing $60,000 through fraud, which would be larceny in New York State, is more serious of a crime than falsifying business records.
They knew about this. They minimized it. The prosecutor misled this jury. That's what I would argue.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I would ask every single one of those journalists, and starting with Jake Tapper, or as Donald Trump likes to say, fake Tapper, I would ask, how is it you're aghast about all of this? How is it that you're surprised at all of this? You portrayed Michael Cohen as the guy that was going to take down Donald Trump, and in reality, it looks like this trial really is exposing Michael Cohen as the thief that he is. And the longer that this goes on, the better it is for Donald Trump. I mean, it's not like we didn't know that this was coming. We clearly knew that this moment was going to come. And so what this telegraphs to the American people, despite the fact that CNN, you know, again, fake Tapper and all these folks, they're aghast and they're surprised by all of this. Part of me wonders if they're just faking their surprise because they knew the kind of guy that Michael Cohen was. Known perjurer, clearly a thief, guy is slimy as all get out. And based on, you know, a lot of the things that we knew about Michael Cohen and know about Michael Cohen, his whole thing has been to try and take down Donald Trump. And so, yeah, this is not really a surprise. And, you know, the last commentator there, he was talking about basically shame on the prosecution for not telling the jury about this. Well, the prosecution is no better than Michael Cohen, folks. I mean, the prosecution, Alvin Bragg's office, really? You think that Alvin Bragg's office is going to be fair? Of course not. And so part of me is really enjoying the fact that the media is pretending that they're surprised that Michael Cohen stole $60,000 from Donald Trump. Michael Cohen is a sleazy, slimy fixer. And I will say it yet again, and some of you might get angry and upset when I say this, but you know what? Donald Trump, He was swimming with sharks. He's the lead shark, quite frankly, back in the day. And so you needed a guy like Michael Cohen. And so that, unfortunately, is part of the price that Donald Trump had to pay in dealing with a fixer, needing a fixer like Michael Cohen, is him stealing $60,000 from his company. And so Jonathan Turley was actually in the courtroom. He was on with Sean Hannity last night, and he says this whole thing, watching this unfold, was fascinating and bizarre to watch.
It was particularly bizarre to watch Cohen sit there on the stand and admit that he stole tens of thousands of dollars from his client, and rather matter-of-factly, he committed larceny. But this isn't the first time he's taken the stand to admit criminal acts. You know, he went on the stand under oath and admitted that he previously committed perjury in a trial over his prior perjury. And the Department of Justice did nothing. I mean, they had a ready-made case of a witness saying, yes, under oath, I swear to God, I committed perjury in the previous trial. And the Department of Justice just shrugged and walked away.
Right.
And here you have someone who admitted to a major larceny case. And the prosecutor had the audacity to get up and say, will you remind the jury that you're not charged with anything, are you? And I wanted to stand up and say, that's the point. I mean, there's a guy in this courtroom which most certainly should be charged, and he's your star witness.
You know what I love, and Jonathan Turley clearly is obviously right. When your star witness, it's like memo to Alvin Bragg and, you know, Biden and all of his leftist opportunists that are going after Donald Trump, and realize what this whole thing is about. This whole thing with Donald Trump is really about, show me the man, I'll find you the crime. And that's what this whole thing is about. And they're trying to use, quite frankly, the scum of the earth, Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, to go after Donald Trump. And it's almost like you want to, and I've said this before, I think, it's almost like you want to send Alvin Bragg and his team of prosecutors a thank you note, because they could not have made our case as conservatives more clear than their own actions, that it is clear that this whole thing is lawfare, that this whole thing is basically going after and trying to stifle Donald Trump because he's running for president, so they'll do anything they possibly can to destroy him, including trying to use the law and lawsuits and bringing all of these various crimes against Donald Trump, which, in my opinion, do not apply. So then what do? They bring up the likes of Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels. And again, I will say thank you to Alvin Bragg and his team of prosecutors for making our point. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on Super Talk 99.7. Thank you, Jack. Sunny today, a high of 91. Is that what we're looking at? A high of 91, and right now 66 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Just one more thing about and we're going to do a deep dive in the 7 o'clock hour, but one more thing on the whole hush money trial with Donald Trump is that you had this guy, Robert Costello. Now, I've been telling you about Robert Costello. Robert Costello is the former attorney for Michael Cohen. Another guy, not surprised by the sheer scuzziness and the theft of Michael Cohen stealing from from Trump's business. And so here's the thing, is that Costello was trying to answer questions related to Michael Cohen. And the judge, over and over again, it was like the defense is asking Robert Costello on the stand. Costello is talking about Michael Cohen and how he is not a credible witness and, testifying to a lot of the things that Costello knows about Michael Cohen. It is certainly relevant, I would say. And so the prosecution kept saying, objection. And the judge, Judge Marchand, kept saying sustained. In other words, Marchand over and over and over and over again kept siding with the prosecution and not allowing Robert Costello to talk about what was going on, and not allowing Robert Costello to talk about the credibility or lack thereof of Michael Cohen and everything that he knew about Michael Cohen, the hundreds of emails, of incriminating emails that he had and documents related to Michael Cohen and his credibility, and the exculpatory evidence that Robert Costello has that would actually help Donald Trump. And over again, Judge Marchand sided with the prosecution over their constant objections. And so at one point, to be a fly on the wall. So at one point, Costello, who he's got a lot of street cred, in the world of New York and lawyers and all of these other things, Costello has a crap ton of street cred, and a lot of people respect him, except apparently Judge Marchand. And so Costello started sort of sighing, rolling his eyes, getting frustrated with Judge Marchand, because Marchand kept, not allowing him to speak and siding with the prosecution and their objections. And so at one point, Costello actually looked at Marchand, and Marchand said, "Are you staring me down?" I mean, it seemed like a whole thing where Marchand, started playing this whole thing about, who's manlier. Let's leave it at that. "Are you staring me down?" And Marchand just kept going after Costello. Costello finally looked away, and Marchand exploded and cleared the courtroom because he was angry with Robert Costello, because Marchand obviously felt like Costello was challenging Marchand. And quite frankly, Marchand, the judge in this case, does need to be challenged. Now, Costello is supposed to, go back onto go back and do some more testimony today. We'll have to find out all that's going to happen there, and we'll see if his behavior is any different. I guess when the courtroom and everybody was allowed back into the courtroom, Costello was a little better behaved. I guess Marchand really lit into him. But Costello does have to remember why he's there. He is there, and far be it for me to tell anybody to, behave on the witness stand, but Costello is there to provide exculpatory evidence if they possibly can. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Costello, and if he's able to get through any of his testimony over the prosecution's objections and Judge Marchand siding with the prosecution. Again, we'll do a deeper dive into that coming up at 7:05 right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's a very busy news day. Coming up at, Ken and Johnny, who's going to join us at 6:05. Really looking forward to speaking with Todd Starnes. Now, Todd Starnes, of course, you know Todd. He's a talk show host out there in Memphis, and he actually owns the radio station in Memphis, and he has a big exclusive where a bunch of these illegals are being flown directly to Memphis. And so we're going to speak with Todd about that coming up at about 6:05, 6:06 right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Members Nutrition Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Dan Mandis here. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. I want to tell you about my friends at My Patriot Supply. Listen, I never really considered myself a prepper, but I do consider myself a guy who does care deeply about his country and his family. And that is why I order emergency food from My Patriot Supply. Now, every day we see those stories about America and our infrastructure under attack. China, Russia, North Korea, Iran. Now, America clearly, in my opinion, is vulnerable, but that doesn't mean that you have to be. Protect yourself and order emergency food from My Patriot Supply. Go to preparewithmandis.com and you are ready for anything. Now, My Patriot Supply has helped millions of Americans get ready for the absolute worst. And right now, they've got a great deal going on. Their 3-month emergency food kits are $200 off each. Now, that means that you can stock up and save big time at preparewithmandis.com. This emergency food does last for 25 years. There's a ton of variety, and yes, it does taste good. Remember, 3-month emergency food kits, they are $200 off each. So yes, you can stock up and save big time. Preparewithmandis.com. That's preparewithmandis.com. 522. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
One passenger killed, others injured due to turbulence. This is on a flight from London to Singapore. We'll get you more details about that. Also, Metro Health Department has issued what it calls a spike alert, meaning there has been a spike in overdose deaths in just the past 36 hours. And shock and dismay at the news of a WeGo bus driver getting attacked by a woman with a kitchen knife. Coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the F&M Bank chat line, where you can actually watch us on the computer. Folks in the chat room there they're commenting on my opening monologue, N907CL, and I need to make a personal plea to N907CL. Can you get like a regular screen name? Because that is like really hard to like say every morning. But he says, or she says, our justice system is such a joke now with the little kangaroo, talking about kangaroo court and so forth. And also Summer P says, lay with dogs, you are bound to get a few fleas. And Chuck on the Members Nutrition super text line also saying that, when you have these kinds of people in your life, talking about Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, then, you're again bound to get bit. So that is part of the conversation for this morning of a very busy morning. Hey, coming up, Ken and Johnny, you ever just listen really closely to a 10-year-old of the things that they say, and you sort of, in your mind, maybe you roll your eyes and you're like, yeah, okay, as you're barely paying attention, you've got 19 other things going on. I had an experience with Riker yesterday that absolutely blew my mind, and I cannot wait to tell you folks about it. That is coming up next right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking hotter temperatures and the timing for another round of potentially strong storms. Got it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. We've got some breaking news right now. The BBC is reporting one passenger was killed, others injured on a flight from London to Singapore, hit by severe turbulence, according to Singapore Airlines. It was a Boeing 777-300ER plane that seats about 500 passengers. Right now in Nashville, the Metro Health Department out with what it calls a spike alert, meaning there has been a spike in overdose deaths in the past 36 hours, most of them downtown. The alert is asking that you check on your loved ones and asks users to take advantage of fentanyl test strips and to carry and know how to use Narcan. You can pick up Narcan free of charge at the Metro Health Pharmacy or any preventive Metro Health clinic. Shock and dismay at the news of a WeGo bus driver getting attacked by a woman who was told to stop screaming as she boarded and then attacked the driver with a kitchen knife.
That's terrifying. Just, God, that makes me so sad. Yeah, because public transportation is so important in the city, and something like that is going to affect people feeling comfortable to use public transportation.
Well, the suspect, 30-year-old Darica Scavalli, is now charged with attempted murder. The bus driver's going to be okay. This happened yesterday around lunchtime at the bus stop at Gallatin Pike and Broadmoor Drive. Nashville Fire working to figure out the cause of a car fire in the parking lot of Nashville Shores Sunday morning that left several people without their cars. They were all damaged or destroyed. This man describes the scene.
Something else combusted and shrapnel started flying. Some debris landed about 2 feet away from where the crowd and I was gathered.
No one was hurt, but again, several cars damaged beyond repair by that one car. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 5:32, Nashville's Morning News. So who do you turn to when it comes to your money? Who do you trust? Now, me, I've been trusting Paul Winkler for years, and I will continue to do so because I think that he does great work. Now, a lot of these other financial folks, they do say different things, but those same people all have something to sell. So, of course, they're pitching their own products. Now, if you worked for a car company, wouldn't you say that your car, the one that you're selling, is the best? Well, of course you would. It's the same thing with banks and insurance agents who sell investment products. Now, Paul Winkler is looking out for your best interest, and he's not going to try and sell you anything. He's actually going to teach you how to relax about money. That's what he's taught me, how to relax about money. Now, you do need to know that I get paid every time I do these commercials, but I wouldn't be doing them if I didn't believe in Paul Winkler and his guidance, and you will too when you call him for a free consultation. 615-851-1950. 615-851-1950. Paul has 10 offices across Middle Tennessee. No doubt one near you, and a great website full of videos and articles about how you can relax about money. Find him online. It's paulwinkler.com. paulwinkler.com. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the gang of three amigos. Ken's here. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yeah.
I'm Dan. Johnny's right there. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Dan and Ken and everybody.
Can we talk about the title of today's broadcast on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook and so on?
What is it?
Well, I'll let Johnny handle that.
Why are you doing that, Dan? I think I'm going to let. I think I'll let somebody of more experience do that for him, if I can get to it. Hang on, I wasn't ready for this, Dan. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He kind of threw me a bone here. All right. It says here, Don. It says. Erect. No, I'm sorry. Election year coverage. All year long on Nashville's Morning News with old Don.
And the erection is.
Yeah, that's right.
If I were better at my job, I would have come up with promos.
Yes.
Your erection covered. Oh, no, I mean, you know what I mean? Do a little record scratch and the whole thing.
Well, we don't want any erection interference from the Russians or anybody else. I'm going to question this erection if doesn't go my way.
You know, I am that close to destroying, marriages when I talk about erection interference, but I'll leave it alone.
That's right.
I'll leave it alone.
Right, Don.
Anybody who's been married a long time knows exactly what I'm talking about. Moving right along.
If you've seen that statue down the road from you, I don't think there's any interference there at all.
No.
I'm telling you, man, there's got to be a gathering.
Somebody needs to put some adult depends on those things.
Yeah.
The downtown statues, Music Row statues, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
No.
Remember when somebody put some clothes on them one time, didn't they?
I think they did, actually. I think that they did.
Was it a conservative of some kind?
I don't know.
You ever had one of them wink at you?
Well, for my luck, it'd be the wrong one.
Me.
Just saying.
I think I saw that one playing the tambourine winking at me.
All right.
Yeah.
Buddy Killen winked back once.
Boy, sure did.
What'd you say?
Buddy Killen. He winked back at me one time. I said, "Attaboy, buddy," and he went, ding.
Buddy Killen was a nice guy. I liked him. He bought my dad's house, actually.
He's the fella playing the piano out there, Brother Dan.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
That's
I'm
Buddy
assuming
Killen?
that
I
people
didn't
know
know
who
that.
Buddy
Yeah.
Killen.
That's what it says.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
I've lived here all this time and never realized that. I thought it was Floyd Kramer. Of course, I never read the inscription or stopped at the...
Yeah, I was going to say, you ever actually really go up close to those things?
No, I just drive by.
Yes. I've never actually stood beside the naked statues.
Yeah, you got to be careful there because people will run over you if you linger.
I love when tourists come to town and they just stop in the middle of traffic in the roundabout to take a picture.
It's like, have you never seen a naked statue before?
Martha, look at that.
It is the season for it, boys. They are out and about.
I wonder if that's Faith and Tim there.
You know what's crazy is that story you had, Ken, about the woman that walks up with a kitchen knife.
Yeah.
And
gets onto the bus screaming. I mean, just screaming at the top of her lungs. Bus driver says, pipe down. And then she attacks the bus driver, pulls out a kitchen knife, starts stabbing the bus driver.
That is insanity.
Fortunately, the bus driver, stopped the stabs with her hand. Her hands are injured, but she's going to be okay.
And I also like the person they interviewed after this happened.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of Sylvester Stallone's, spoiled children.
Yeah, she was
that was really sad.
She was shocked by that.
That's terrifying. Just, God, that makes me so sad.
That makes me so sad.
Is that Sylvester Stallone's daughter?
Well, they talk like that. Dad.
Oh, they talk like that?
Not dad.
Okay.
Dad. I'm so sad.
Are you guys watching his Sylvester Stallone's reality show?
I'm not.
We quit.
Did you?
Yeah. I finally told my wife, let's just stop. I said, I can't take this.
What was wrong with him? Like just the sheer...
It's just how it's boring for one.
Yeah.
It's just watching a bunch of rich people live their life and...
Who cares?
We've got a real crisis. She just broke up with her boyfriend. Who cares?
That's an age-old story.
And then Frank Stallone is all over this thing because that's the only gig he can get.
Right.
Thank God for my brother.
Yep.
I can play my hit.
Hey, you guys want to hear? I'm going to get to the Riker story in a second, but you guys want to hear a little kerfuffle we had at the house?
Sure.
Yeah, let's hear it, Brother Dan Mandis.
Now, I want to know who's right. So, and
the man's right. That's who's right.
Yeah, man.
It's the man,
the boss.
So, feel free to take Amy's side on this.
Okay.
Probably will anyway.
Just out of sheer terror.
So I'm in the bathroom, and so of course, as a man with kind of sort of a beard, I try to keep it. I do some shaving in there, and
Right.
so some beard hair gets in the sink.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yes, it is.
Apparently for Amy, it is. So,
not just her, buddy.
But then I look at my bathroom, the one that we share, and there is. I almost took a picture of it, and I decided not to because I value my marriage. But there is like hair curlers, hair straighteners, picture the worst woman's bathroom crap all over the sink.
Yep.
And I said to her, so I want to get this straight. You're worried about my little whiskers, which she was complaining to me about, yet you've got crap all over the bathroom sink. Now, and don't get me started on the whole putting the toilet seat down. So, who's right? Because I will admit that I should not, if I'm going to have whiskers in the sink, then I got to clean that up. And I totally understand that. However, look at all the other stuff that she has on the bathroom counter.
I don't know how many times barefoot I have stepped on the electrical cord, the end of the electrical cord to either a flat iron or a hair dryer.
Yes.
And I mean, it hurts.
You ever accidentally?
It hurts.
Let me ask you this. You ever pick up a hot curling iron?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, that hurts.
Yet I leave a little bit of whiskers in the sink, and it's a big crime in my house.
Well, you can always get something to catch the whiskers. Like I usually put a small trash can in the, under it, so that way it doesn't get in the sink.
Johnny, I could do that, but that'd make a lot of sense. and clearly, according to my wife, I don't do things that make sense. So who's right, me or her?
The man is right. That's who's right.
Okay,
Johnny?
Okay.
So Johnny, it sounds like Johnny is siding with
I'm not
Amy
siding with anybody.
Sounds like you're siding with Amy.
Well,
no, I'm not.
I got to say, as somebody who has left a few whiskers laying around, you do have to take care of your whiskers, Brother Dan.
Yeah, you do. And so I would just suggest to stay out of the, that's why I'm not taking either side. Just try to find a way to make sure the whiskers don't get in the sink.
And here's one thing, all you pretty ladies out there.
Yes, sir.
You don't need all that stuff.
No.
You just don't.
No, you do not.
The beautiful Amy, she doesn't need all that stuff.
No. You know how many times
my wife, she does not need all of her stuff.
Glenna doesn't, that's one thing I love about Glenna. She really doesn't get into all that stuff. She does try to make herself pretty.
I bet you we have...
Because she's already pretty, Johnny.
Yes, she is.
I bet you we have easily over $100 worth of product.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about women, too. Like, even when they get their hair done.
Mm-hmm.
Man, to get their hair done, it costs a lot.
Yeah, it sure do.
Everything involved with women, it's like they see women coming. Oh, we can charge her.
I've got a bar of soap and a sponge, and it's got hairs in it.
Really? All right.
More info than we need.
And they're not just beard hairs.
Oh. Where do you go from that?
Moving right along. Any hoodle doodles.
Ken Weaver.
I change it out about, every 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. All right, so now people are telling me, yeah, you know what? $26.99, Dan, you can be right or you can be married. Choose wisely.
That's a good one, man.
That's the line.
Listen, that is true.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Can I ask a question, though? Why does that only apply to men?
I don't know how to answer that other than that, women don't realize it, but they rule the world.
Oh, yes.
I was going to say
Absolutely
that only
they do.
Do women sit around and they say, well, you can either, be right or you can be married or whatever it is, or happy husband, happy life. Those things don't apply.
No, they don't.
To the women. They don't say that to each other. It's only a guy thing. Why is that? Anybody know?
I don't know.
Ken?
Probably because there's hairs in the sponge.
All right. Johnny, I think all the married guys are like, run from this bit, run.
Yeah,
okay,
run
fine.
as fast as you can. Yeah, and why is it, too? I've always noticed that usually when men and women break up, it seems like the women have all kinds of people going after them. And the guys, out there begging.
You talking about for dates and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the women have no problem.
Boys, we can't say this, but we know this. We know why they're in control.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so, Riker said something the other day.
Let's just move it right along, boys.
So what did Riker say?
So, it's interesting with Riker because, he says stuff, And it's like, I don't know if he's telling the truth because he's 10. And so 10-year-olds, they have these fantastical fantasies, right? And so he comes up to me yesterday and he said, hey, did you know that one of Saturn's moons looks exactly like the Death Star? Because he knows that I'm a Star Wars fan.
Right.
And I said, oh, yeah? I'm just doing the dishes. And I'm like, he said, yeah, it looks exactly like it. And I'm just, water's running. Okay, yeah, cool.
What do you know about that?
Third time, he tells me about it. I'm like, all right, Riker, I'm going to Google this because I'm calling BS. There's no way that there's a moon out there that looks like the Death Star. There's a moon that looks exactly like the Death Star. It's one of Saturn's moons. It's called Mimas or Mimas, M-I-M-A-S. It's one of Saturn's moons. It looks exactly like the Death Star, and people know this.
Wow.
And so Riker is, thanks to the internet, he's becoming very savvy at like random knowledge. For example, he came up to me the other day, and because you know what he does? I love this kid. He comes up to me and he wants to say, hey, did you know this? Because he likes to, sort of pretend that I'm stupid, right? So he'll come at me with like random factoids, and I'm going to be like, true or false, yes or no. So the other day he comes up to me, and it's all in good fun. And he says, hey, did you know that Michael Jackson one time rented out a grocery store? And I'm like, Michael Jackson rented out a grocery store. He says, yeah. Said, why would he possibly do that? And he says, well, because he wanted to know what it was like to, go shopping.
Okay, Michael.
So I'm calling BS on this. And then, of course, I Google it, and it is actually true.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson at one time rented out a grocery store and had, like, I guess a bunch of his friends go in and, like, pose as restaurant store workers.
Yeah.
Putting on the vests and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he just started putting stuff in the cart.
He couldn't have a normal life.
I wanted to experience it.
I understand that.
I do too.
But I mean, just the fact that Riker this is what he's learning on the internet is just, very random little factoids.
Wow.
Those are
and
good
I think
things.
it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just,
You're fact checking him.
I am, but I'm always like, number one, I never know.
That's
like,
how
he'll
interesting it is.
He'll ask me these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did you know that Michael Jackson once rented out a grocery store?
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea. And so he takes great pride in telling me, number one, that I'm wrong, but number two, in telling me the story of Michael Jackson renting out a grocery store or, one of Saturn's moons looking exactly like the Death Star. And if you haven't seen this, by the way, Google it, because it's actually very cool.
Yeah, my son told me about that back whenever he was 11.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, so it's a kid thing.
Yeah.
It is a kid, and it does. It looks exactly like the Death Star. I don't know, maybe, I wonder if that's how they got the idea of the Death Star is by this Saturn moon.
Dan,
Probably so.
It is the Death Star. I've seen ships going to and from.
Have you now?
And I've seen a very wrinkly old man.
Yeah.
With
Soros?
with lasers going out. Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, exactly. Here's one you can lay on Riker. Tell him the story about, Elvis Presley got, honorary sheriff's badge. And he used to pull over people in Memphis. And if they were speeding or something, hey, maybe slow down, man.
Is that true? That's true.
Yeah, that's true. And Waylon Jennings and his band were trying to get across the Canadian border and to do gigs. Willie Nelson was ahead of them, and they had Willie's bus searched. And then Waylon and his band came across, and they were told to empty out their pockets. When they did, they all had honorary sheriff's badges, and they let them through.
Wow.
No inspection. So those sheriff's badges come in handy.
By the way, speaking of Elvis, Graceland is set for foreclosure.
Yes, I heard.
Did you see
this.
that?
Yes.
Okay,
I
what's
heard
that
the granddaughter is quite upset.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk to Todd Starnes coming up at 6:06. He owns that radio station out there in Memphis. And so we're going to speak to Todd about migrants flying into Memphis. You know, it's one of these flights from, I don't know where, but coming into Memphis.
Just what Memphis needs.
Well, they're probably coming from New York. Eric Adams is sending them to the South.
Yeah, sending them to Memphis.
Oh, can you imagine?
You think our city's dangerous?
Take this, Tennessee.
Yeah, check this one out.
By the way, I saw on Channel 2, an old boy caught a big old catfish with a cicada.
Really?
All right.
All right.
One cicada down.
By the way, I'm a little...
4 million to go.
Hey, speaking of the Todd Starnes interview, would it be... Because he lives in Memphis, right? So would it be...
And he chose to do this?
Would it be wrong to say that when they stepped off the plane in Memphis, did they also furnish them with bulletproof vests?
Should have.
Is that because I don't know if he must love Memphis. He lives there and he bought a radio station there, and I don't want to insult him, but the jokes just write themselves.
Yeah, they do. He must live in Germantown.
I don't know.
Send him over to Steve Cohen's house.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? Ken, if I forget to mention that to Todd Starnes, chime in.
I'll do it, Brother Dan.
All right. We're done.
Okay.
5:54, Nashville's Morning News. Todd Starnes coming up a little after 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at USS United Structural Systems. Now, I'm going to tell you what all of those billboards simply cannot, how great it is to do business with USS. I can tell you because I've done business with them many times. I'm sadly about to do more business with United Structural Systems because I found some issues with my foundation, had some cracked bricks. And so they're going to come out, they're going to fix me up. But here's the deal. I do know that they're going to be honest, they're going to be competent, and yes, they're going to be fair as well. Now, by the way, other signs that you need to look for related to foundation issues, sticking doors or windows, uneven flooring, to name just a few. What I think you need to do is go to their website, ussTN.com, check out their website for all of the signs that you need to look out for, whether it is foundation issues, concrete issues, waterproofing issues as well. There's a huge menu of all of the things that USS can help you with as a homeowner. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, ussTN.com.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and I was waiting to see who was going to use it first, and the winner is Channel 5. They're the ones who tease the weather on my alerts with "the heat is on." Yeah, it's going to be hotter today than yesterday. Strong storms possible in the near future. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Way to go, Channel 5. We're learning more about a deadly midair incident on a flight from London to Singapore. Singapore Airlines says the Boeing 777-300ER hit severe turbulence. At least one passenger was killed. Others injured. Here in Nashville, Metro Health issuing a spike alert for a spike in the number of overdose deaths in the past 24 hours, most of them downtown. They're asking people to check on your loved ones, take advantage of fentanyl test strips and Narcan, which they say you can get free of charge at the Metro Health Pharmacy or any preventive health care clinic. Right now in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell wants an assessment on the safety of public transportation after a WeGo bus driver was attacked by a rider with a kitchen knife yesterday afternoon.
We're asking MMPD and WeGo to kind of give us a refreshed assessment of are we leaving something on the table somehow with security at WeGo? We absolutely want it to be a safe place.
Now, there was a shooting on another bus just recently, and the suspect in this stabbing, 30-year-old Derika Scavalli, allegedly got on the bus screaming and then stabbed the driver when the driver asked her to be quiet. That Scavalli now charged with attempted murder. The bus driver is going to be okay, fortunately. The father of a 14-year-old girl killed in an ATV crash in Nashville is facing several criminal charges. Police say 40-year-old Victor Mosqueda should not have let his daughter and another 14-year-old ride an ATV on a public street without supervision or helmets during a birthday party on May 11th. The ATV his daughter was on crashed into a Jeep. She died the following day at the hospital. Mosqueda is charged with criminally negligent homicide involving a minor, 2 counts of reckless endangerment by motor vehicle, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. And fast food price wars. Andrew Dimbert says Wendy's is firing back at McDonald's, who just introduced their own meal deal.
Wendy's now offering a $3 English muffin deal, which includes seasoned potatoes and your choice of a bacon or sausage, egg, and cheese English muffin sandwich. The meal, less than the average cup of coffee. This as McDonald's announced their own limited-time $5 value meal deal just last week, responding to tough feedback about rising prices online.
Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 19, S&P up 3, NASDAQ down 8. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
6:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, along with Ken Weaver, Johnny B. Dan Mandis here. Todd Starnes is going to be with us at 6:35 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Going to talk about migrants, apparently, according to Todd. You remember Todd, right? Everybody knows Todd Starnes, Fox News, for many years, and he now owns a radio station in Memphis, and he has a story about migrants being flown into Memphis. So we're going to ask him about that. And also, Graceland is slated to be sold off at foreclosure. So I'm going to talk to him about that as well. Todd Starnes, looking forward to speaking to him at 6:35 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up at 7:35, if you can't stick around, at 7:35, make an appointment to come back. Going to speak to Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. He is a foreign policy analyst, and we're going to talk about the death of Iran's president and what ramifications that will have on Iran and the Middle East, generally speaking. And at 7:05, here in about an hour, going to do a deep dive into Donald Trump's hush money trial. So a very busy morning here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Johnny, needs some audio if I could. We all remember Joe Biden's big weekend.
My name's Joe Biden, and I'm a lifetime member of the NAACP.
So Biden, we covered this extensively yesterday. The president out there trying to, quite frankly, save his campaign, because we know that from the polling, he is doing remarkably horribly. I mean, just really bad, especially among Hispanic and black voters. And so he took to, Morehouse College, and he did the commencement speech there, a historically black college. He also went to Detroit, spoke to some folks out there, went to some black museums, and so on and so forth, as he really is trying to turn around his sagging support from black Americans. Now, I thought it was interesting. I have not seen, and if any of you folks have seen a story or polling on how this went over with the black community, I would love to hear it, because I don't think it went over really well. And I did see an interview, and it was a good interview on Fox News. Now, Fox News does have an agenda, but I believe that they have a couple of folks on there that are black, and they're look to be, middle-aged, maybe 30s, early 40s, whatever. But they had them on, and there are a couple of business owners, and one guy, his name is Ajay Brewer, says no, Biden's race baiting. Not only did it not work, but it was also insulting.
It's hopelessness, man. It's the party of hopelessness. I could say that, I was a Democrat my entire life until I opened my business, and they sell, it's like a drug, victimhood, and we can do this for you. And to be honest with you, the black folks that I surround myself with just want government to get out of the way. We don't need folks to do things for us. We don't need people to baby us. So it's kind of disturbing, that they pander to us in this manner because they can depend on us at a clip of 90% plus. But I think that's going to change this election.
Remember what I said yesterday? I said yesterday that Biden is bringing all this, and all that people want, regardless of skin color, regardless as to where they're from, if you're an American citizen, you just want, just like Ajay just said, you want the government to get the hell out of your way. You don't want to depend on the government. You want them to get out of your way so that you can succeed and you can achieve the American dream. Another woman named Bernadette agrees.
I think they're really going to have to ask the hard questions. Why are you losing our support? Because they thought it was a given, because it used to be automatic. It's not that way anymore.
Right.
America is changing, and people are becoming more sensitive to what's affecting us as individuals, as business owners, as parents, not just because we're black, not just because we're women, not just because we're men. They can't keep putting us in these race baskets. Accountability season is here. They don't even know who we are at this point.
Oh, snap. And that was actually the part of the story that was part of the headline where she said,
they can't keep putting us in these race baskets. Accountability season is here. They don't even know who we are at this point.
Accountability season is here, and they don't even know who we are at this point. And they're absolutely right. I mean, this guy, Ajay Brewer, and also Bernadette Wright, two folks, black, business owners, entrepreneurs, interviewed on Fox News, and they weren't buying anything that Joe Biden is trying to sell. And we're talking about this yesterday, where at Morehouse College, you have all of these students who are really smart. And Joe Biden, our 82, 83, whatever year-old president, comes out and he starts talking nonsense.
They don't see you in the future of America, but they're wrong. To me, we make history, not erase it. We know Black history is American history.
Yeah, so he had a bit of a golf clap there from the folks. But, they did play that audio bite for this Ajay Brewer on Fox News, again, a Black business person. And this is what he said specifically about that audio bite.
I got to harp on the word victimhood. I mean, people are tired of the same old, what can you give me? I got my hand out, that people aren't looking for that. It reminds me of when I graduated high school. I was looking to get out and fly on my own. If I wanted my parents to get out of the way. Yep. If my parents stayed in the way and babied me, I'd probably still be living with them, and so I'm looking for a party. I'm looking for a candidate that is going to get out of my way, make it easier for me to be successful, make it easier for me to hire folks. And I think that's what most folks are looking for.
I do wonder, as I was watching this interview, and it's a really good interview, and I understand that Fox News has a certain perspective and that it is a conservative perspective. And perhaps maybe MSNBC had some other folks who thought that Joe Biden was great. Maybe Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. I have no idea. But here's the thing. He got a smattering of applause, Joe Biden did, at some of these lines, clearly, obviously, race baiting and pandering. But I do wonder if there were some people in the audience who, because I don't know what they teach at Morehouse College. I have no idea. But I wonder if they found Joe Biden's statement to be in line with what they teach at Morehouse. And again, I don't know. But the reality is that these two entrepreneurs out in the real world, dealing with real life as opposed to these platitudes of Joe Biden, they heard what he said and they couldn't disagree more.
I saw the speech from Biden. It was just sad. A class full of overachievers, high achievers, talking to them as though they're not going to be the 1%.
Yeah, it's a great point.
What a story.
And they certainly are. Blessed and privileged and very smart and have bright futures ahead. But President Biden did say that he would be the president who unites.
Yeah, and clearly President Biden is not a president who unites. And so that is, and again, I have not been able to find any polling to show how Joe Biden's race baiting and pandering played out and how that was taken in by the Black community. If you see something, you can either email it, dan@997wtn.com, or you can text it in to the Members Nutrition Super Text line. That number is 615-737-9986. Coming up, Bill Maher, who seems to be, for the right, everyone's, favorite liberal these days. Bill Maher was actually on last night with Greg Gutfeld. I've got a couple of audio bites you've got to hear to believe. It is straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News. Time to check the roads. Thank you very much. 6:16 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Bill Maher was on with Greg Gutfeld. And by the way, sunny today and a high of 91 right now, 67, if I forgot to do that. My computer is acting a little squirrely this morning, so I'm trying to overcome a few things. No big deal for a broadcast professional such as myself. So Bill Maher was on Greg Gutfeld's show last night, and they talked about what Bill Maher believes is the most important issue of our time. Listen to this.
Well, I mean, I agree that it's great that we're talking. I agree that we agree on some things. We're not exactly aligned on the most important things, which is basically Trump is someone who does not concede elections. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You don't seem to see it that way. That's the most important thing that's going on in this country. Wow. He didn't concede the last election. He's not going to concede this election.
You don't know that. So does he really think, does Bill Maher, he may not be as smart as I thought that he was. Does Bill Maher really believe that Donald Trump's, and I'm going to air quote this, that Donald Trump's refusal to accept the results of the upcoming 2024 election, he believes that that is America's number one problem? Really? Bill Maher, that's really what you think? Now, you know where I'm at on Bill Maher. I've actually liked Bill Maher for a long time. Even though I'm a conservative, I think he's funny, and I'm willing to listen to him. My big issue with Bill Maher right now is that he seems to be, for Republicans, he's like everybody's, conservatives, he's like everybody's favorite pet right now. Oh my God, did you see what Bill Maher said? He agrees with Republicans. Okay, well, Republicans have been saying the same thing that he's been saying for a long time, and we've been castigated and called Nazis. So forgive me for not, jumping on the we all love Bill Maher bandwagon. I think it's a joke, as a matter of fact. But this is the problem with the left, is Maher really does see Donald Trump as this massive threat that he won't concede the election as the biggest issue today. Meantime, we have problems in this country that a limousine liberal like Bill Maher probably can't actually relate to like the rest of us. You got your illegal immigration. You've got your problems with the economy, crime, lawfare, migrant crime, crumbling infrastructure, and a president, quite frankly, who can't put two words or thoughts together. Those are the biggest issues of our day. Not, this threat that Donald Trump is not going to accept the election results of 2024, which, by the way, I would say to Bill Maher, so you're predicting a Donald Trump win? Is that what's going on? More from Bill Maher on Greg Gutfeld's show on Fox News. Here's more of what he had to say.
Again, he's an insurrectionist who doesn't believe in democracy, so of course it's bothering me. And of course he's also insane and a criminal and stupid.
Except for that,
but,
Bill?
But I got to say,
that, I'll vote for him.
Look, he's almost the same age as Biden, but Biden presents as old.
Yeah.
Ancient.
Yeah.
That does not look old.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't.
He does not present as old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Kiss. He puts on the wig and the face paint, and it's 1976 all over again.
Oh, those were the days. It is crazy how you have Maher and Bill and Nancy Pelosi and all of these folks talking about how Donald Trump doesn't believe, and I'm going to air quote democracy, how Donald Trump does not believe in democracy. They're the ones that are engaged in lawfare. I mean, you just heard Bill Maher talking about how Donald Trump is this big threat because he's not going to concede the 2024 election if, Donald Trump loses. Now, I believe that Donald Trump's going to win, but whatever. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But trying to take Trump out using the notion of show me the man and I'll find you the crime is exactly what the Democrats are doing. They are the biggest threat to democracy that Donald Trump ever has been. I mean, all you've got to do is look at the list. The Democrats have been attacking democracy for years. You've got your Steele dossier. That leads, of course, to the Mueller investigation. They tried to impeach Donald Trump twice over all of this BS. Now we have 4 attempts to try and take out Donald Trump via baseless claims. You've got the hush money case, the classified documents case, the Georgia case, the case out of New York State where they're accusing Donald Trump of inflating his real estate holdings. Not to mention, of course, the E. Jean Carroll defamation judgment against him, which was absolutely ridiculous, up towards $100 million. And then, of course, you have Colorado and all of these other states trying to take Donald Trump off the ballot, which crashed and burned at the Supreme Court 9-0. So the pearl clutching and the lack of self-awareness is amusing, to say the least. And Gutfeld and all the other folks that were on the Gutfeld show with Bill Maher, as far as I know, they didn't mention any of this, and quite frankly, they should have. Because if you're worried about democracy, all you need to do is look at what the Democrats are engaged in as opposed to what Donald Trump might do. It is 6:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Todd Starnes, former Fox News reporter and personality, is going to join us at 6:35. He's got a couple of stories that I want to talk to him about out of Memphis. He owns a Memphis radio station, and he's got what he calls an exclusive migrants being flown into Memphis. And also, what is the story about Graceland? Is going to be auctioned off in foreclosure on Thursday. Yeah, those two stories, top of the pile, if you will. What I want to speak to Todd Starnes about at 6:35 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis for Cove Generators. Listen, if the last couple of weeks has taught us anything, it is that Mother Nature can strike anytime, anywhere. So if you can hear my voice, my friends, you are in the path of tornadoes and power outages, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from Cove Generators. Now, right now, a great deal for listeners to my show. You're going to get a free, updated, upgraded 10-year warranty and $500 off when you mention my name again, Dan Mandis. Now, Cove Generators, they are your premier Generac home standby generator dealer in Tennessee. So if you've got any questions about this special or generators, by and large, call my buddy Generator Dave. He's going to answer all your questions before the purchase, during the purchase, and after the purchase as well. They don't leave you high and dry once they get your money. No, that's one of many reasons why I like Cove Generators. Call them 931-559-3311, 931-559-3311. Remember that great deal, a free, upgraded 10-year warranty and $500 off when you mention my name. That's a deal you're not going to find anywhere else but at Cove Generators when you mention Dan Mandis and WTN. CoveGenerators.com. Terms and conditions may apply. 6:24 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up at 6:30, it's Ken Weaver and the news. Ken, what's coming up?
Deadly turbulence. Metro Health issuing a spike alert for overdose deaths. WeGo bus driver attacked with a knife. And one of our allies supporting UN arrest warrants for the war in Gaza. 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It hasn't happened since 1803. And it won't happen again for 200 years. The double brew is emerging. There could be trillions, and they're coming your way. So what can you do in a time like this? Sit back and enjoy a cup of cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Tastes great and totally free of noisy insects. It makes a great gift for friends and family. a great way to commemorate this once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee, available for a limited time only at rohoelephant.com.
.629 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Stoltz Co. Now listen, I've been telling you about Stoltz Co. and their incredible pole barns. You know, you can put them anywhere and they can function as anything. It's one of the reasons why I really like these pole barns is that they're so versatile, they're so well made, especially when you go through Stoltz Co. What I want you to do is check out their website, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com, and take a look for yourself at their amazing construction and the versatility. Again, you can build one for your vehicles, you can build one for your horses if you need an equestrian building, you can even build one as an event space. Now, if you have enough land, you can even build a pole barn and you can live in it. We call them barn dominiums. Now, Stoltz Co. is among the elite in pole barn construction in Middle Tennessee. What I want you to do is check them out online or on their Instagram and Facebook accounts. You can also call them for an estimate. That phone number is 615-622-5992. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-622-5992. You're not going to be disappointed. Find them online. It is stoltzco.com.
6:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Today's supposed to be hotter than yesterday. There are changes coming. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, we're seeing that one passenger is dead, several others injured after severe turbulence of a Singapore Airlines flight from London. There were 221 passengers, 18 crew members on board this Boeing 777-300ER. It was diverted to Bangkok. Right now in Nashville, the Metro Health Department's out with what it calls a spike alert, meaning there's been a spike in overdose deaths in the past 36 hours, most of them downtown. This alert asking you check on loved ones and asks users to take advantage of fentanyl test strips and to carry and know how to use Narcan. You can pick up Narcan free of charge at the Metro Health Pharmacy or any preventive health clinic. Shock and dismay at the news of a WeGo bus driver getting attacked by a woman who was told to stop screaming as she boarded a bus and then attacked the driver with a kitchen knife.
That's terrifying. Just, God, that makes me so sad.
Now, the suspect, 30-year-old Derica Scavalli, is now charged with attempted murder. That bus driver, fortunately, going to be okay. This happened yesterday around lunchtime at the bus stop at Gallatin Pike and Broadmoor Drive. War in Gaza. Ines de la Couture says France has come out in support of the UN International Criminal Court, even as the U.S. condemns it as it targets Israeli officials.
The French Foreign Ministry issuing a statement saying, quote, France supports the International Criminal Court, its independence, and the fight against impunity in all situations, end quote. This comes after the court's prosecutors sought an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Chief Yoav Gallant for alleged war crimes. The court also issued arrest warrants for Hamas leaders. The U.S., meanwhile, rejected the ICC prosecutor's decision to go after Israeli officials.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 632 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Todd Starnes, formerly from Fox News, is going to join us to talk about story he's got. It's an exclusive about migrants being apparently flown right into Memphis. That story, and also the latest on whether or not it looks like Graceland is supposed to be, anyway, auctioned off coming up later on this week. We'll have to wait and see. Some people are saying this might be a scam. Going to get all the latest from Todd Starnes, live from Memphis, coming up next on WTN. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Listen, why should you become a Beehive member from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling? Well, they know the times are tough, and they don't want the cost of things to interfere with your comfort this summer. So they're offering some great financing right now, up to 12 months, no interest, no payment, with approved credit. They've got great new deals, by the way, on HVAC units as well. They're offering you free air duct cleaning, fogging, and UV light home treatment with the purchase of select new units. Also, they do plumbing. They're great at plumbing, actually. Plumbing specials as well. $500 off select tankless water heaters and $500 off upright S&C water heaters as well. And if you need some repair work done on your AC unit this summer, we're going to waive the $89 dispatch fee on any repair or a new install. In other words, being a Beehive member is important because you save money over the long run, and they are here to help you do just that, save money. They are your Root Pro partner, 615-775-7833. You can find them online, busybeehvac.com. One more time, your Root Pro partner, 615-775-7833.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, No open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.638 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for joining us on Nashville's Morning News, along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver, Dan Mandis here. I want to welcome on into the program. Honored as always to speak to Todd Starnes, of course, formerly of Fox News. These days you can see him on Newsmax. He's all over the place. Also owns a radio station in Memphis, KWAM Radio. Todd Starnes, how are you?
Dan Mandis, always great to hang out with you, sir, and congratulations on all of your great success. You guys are crushing it there at WTN.
Well, we certainly have fun. Let me ask you, you sent out a tweet last night or yesterday, and it wasn't surprising, yet it was shocking. You tweeted out that migrants were being flown directly into Memphis, and I didn't see a lot of follow-up on that. Can you give us the latest? Because, of course, here in Nashville, we know that migrants, if they're flown directly into Memphis, they're not going to stay in Memphis. They could come to Nashville and anywhere else in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. So yesterday morning, we received some information from a very reliable source within the Tennessee Republican Party that a plane load of illegals was heading towards Memphis, had taken off from LaGuardia yesterday morning. We know that the individuals were on board a smaller American Airlines jet that's run by Republican Air. We also understand that there were federal law enforcement officers on board the plane. There were actually people on board the plane that were texting our source within the Tennessee Republican Party. They landed here yesterday around mid-morning, and at that point, the airport and the airline will not say what happened to those individuals. We also reached out to Homeland Security. So folks are being sort of tight-lipped about this. We do know, Dan, that this has happened before, of course, in Chattanooga, where illegals were flown into the airport there in the dark of night. Those were much larger planes, and then they were loaded onto buses, and we don't know what happened to those individuals. But this does seem to fit the motive and the way the Biden administration has been moving these illegals across the nation and into red states.
It's got to be worrisome. I mean, we know all about migrant crime, specifically folks from Guatemala, but we have issues with migrant crime all across the country. Is Memphis prepared? First of all, do we know how many there were? It doesn't sound like we have a specific idea on how many there were.
We know, my source says about 20% of the people on board that plane were illegal. I would contend it's too dangerous for the illegals to come to Memphis, Tennessee. We're the most dangerous city in America. So for the love of God, keep them away.
Todd, it's funny because we were sort of joking on the air because you're from Memphis. I'm sure you have a particular fondness for Memphis. And I was actually openly asking, would it be out of line to ask Todd Starnes if, they gave him a toothbrush and bulletproof vests, when they found out that they're coming to Memphis. But you're right. I mean, it's a dangerous city. It's going to be made even more dangerous depending on who has gotten off that plane. Is there a way to find out who it is? I mean, who these folks are, where they're from, and their ages and their genders and all that other stuff?
We're working on it, and we're also working with our sources within the Memphis Police Department to find out and find out where these people are going. Typically, they would probably end up in an area over in the Summer Avenue area. People are familiar with Memphis, but to your point, I mean, it's just absolutely insane here. The level of crime and violence. The mayor is a radical progressive. Our district attorney is styled after George Soros, and they've already want to raise our property rates 28% to pay for more midnight basketball. Dan Mandis.
Oh no, are you serious? Midnight basketball?
The mayor actually held a coffee meeting. I kid you not, held a coffee meeting with gang leaders. And they told the mayor asked them, what will it take for you to stop carjacking us and shooting us? And they said they wanted more activities at the community center and better jobs.
Wow. All right.
So now the who knows, the illegals may be hanging out with the gang members doing goat yoga. We don't know.
Can you imagine all these guys, bonding over goat yoga? That's very funny. Well, so I guess the next step is find out who these, folks are. In the tweet, I think you said that the conditions on the plane were deplorable.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, several passengers that were bound for Memphis actually got off the plane, and that was the initial text we received. The individual on board the plane was saying that people were really sickened. Some people, apparently, I'm just reading this, apparently passengers were gagging from the smell on the plane. So that's, and again, I think that's bad in and of itself, but the broader issue is, how did illegals board, again, a jetliner? Many of them don't have the proper documentation when the average American has to stand in a TSA checkpoint and get manhandled every morning.
All right, I got to take traffic check. I want to find out from you about what's going on with Graceland, because I'm reading that it's possibly going to go into foreclosure, but we've got the family of Elvis Presley saying, no, these are fraudulent documents. Whole thing sounds crazy. I'm going to ask you about that coming up next. And, I'm also really curious as to, with all of your success in these days where, you can basically go anywhere, live anywhere, and whatever, why you chose to go back home to Memphis. So I got a lot to speak to you about. Todd Starnes joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads. Thank you very much. 645 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather today, sunny, a high of 91. Right now, 67 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You've seen him on Newsmax these days. Todd Starnes is joining us, also owns a radio station in Memphis, KWAM. Todd, let me ask you about what is going on. I got to tell you, I was shocked when I saw what is going on with Graceland. And the stories are, the headlines are that it's, I guess, in foreclosure. This is the one place that I have yet to visit in Tennessee in my last 10 and a half years here. But what's going on with Graceland?
Well, first of all, I think we're dealing with a lot of really bad reporting, and people need to just take a breath. They're not hauling out furniture out of the jungle room just yet. So here's the deal. it looks as though we may have a serious case of fraud going on against the estate of the late Lisa Marie. Her daughter, Riley Keough, filed a lawsuit claiming this is all fraudulent. Now, there is this company, Dan, and they're claiming that Lisa Marie failed to repay a $3.8 million loan back in 2018. But here's the problem. The notary involved said this never happened. The attorneys representing the estate say this never happened. There is no actual information that anybody can find about the investment company that claims that they are owed all of this money. So right now, there's a lot of reporting out there. There is going to be an emergency court case tomorrow in Memphis to hear this. It is a non-judicial foreclosure, meaning this is not going through the judicial system. So we've still got. This thing stinks to high heavens. Sounds like somebody's out there, trying to fish for money off of the estate. But we're going to be all over this thing. And this all dropped over the past couple of days. I think caught a lot of people by surprise.
Okay, so $3.8 million. It seems to me Elvis Presley is still one of the biggest earners, I think, in music and in entertainment, even many, many years after his death. $3.8 million. I mean, even if this whole thing turns out to be fraudulent, from the Presley family and how it relates to Graceland, I mean, how much money is that to those folks? I mean, it's a lot of money to you and me, but to them, Elvis Presley is still making a ton of money, right? And does that money go to Graceland and the family?
A ton of money, and the entire, it's not just the house anymore. It's almost like Universal Studios Elvis land, and it is so phenomenal to go over there. They have big concerts, they have a large concert venue, so they have a lot of shows. They have a beautiful 4-star hotel that's opened up over there, the guest house at Graceland. So this is a major, and of course it is still the #1 tourist destination in Memphis. So it's making a lot of money. So when I heard $3.8 million, I'm like, come on, get out of here. There's no way. By the way, the guy that allegedly owns this company, he can't be found anywhere online.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds sketch to say the least. All right, I gotta know, Todd Starnes, you grew up in Memphis, and clearly the city has changed over the years. Why did you decide to go back to Memphis? I mean, I think it was still. When did you go back?
Yeah, so I moved back home in 2020. And the reason why is, this is where my family is. And it was a blessing to work at Fox News, and I'm just shocked they kept me around as long as they did, almost 15 years. But when they didn't renew my contract, it just made a lot of sense. Came back here. The radio station happened to be for sale, and KWAM is a great heritage station. It's the very first station where Elvis played on the radio. Johnny Cash and B.B. King used to be PJs at KWAM many years ago. So it was kind of an honor to be able to buy that station and turn it into a locally owned, locally run news talk radio station. And, we're just having a good time out here. It's a lot of fun. We do radio just like you guys do it there in Nashville. And it's really all about the listeners and, telling those local and statewide stories.
All right. Todd Starnes, as always, great to have you on. And just keep us updated on what's going on with these migrants. I would love to get an update from you from Memphis, and wish you the best of luck. And thanks for calling in to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I got to tell you, I met Todd Starnes, I think it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He came, I think he was part of Fox News at the time. He came in and he was on a book tour of some sort. And he came into Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I was just a, very modest little news anchor and a very, mark of 100. This was years ago. Todd came in, what a class act. And it was like, talk about, it's like Elvis had entered the building, in Fort Wayne with Todd Starnes coming in. And just an absolute class act. And Todd is welcome back here anytime to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 6:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, coming up next, all the latest on what is going on with Donald Trump's hush money trial. Going to talk about that. You want to talk about a train wreck and what happened there yesterday with Michael Cohen. Oh, my Lord, going to tell you all the happenings there coming up next on WTN. Dan Mandis here, reminding you about the Glock Store's 4th annual open house on Saturday, June 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm going to be there along with Chris Hand and Matt Murphy. Now, so much going on, including a ton of giveaways and really low prices as well at the Glock Store, their open house. I'm going to be there. Matt's going to be there. Chris is going to be there as well. And these really low prices, the question people kept asking us is, well, how low are these prices going to be? So low that we simply cannot advertise because they get in trouble with the vendors. And frankly, we don't have enough time to get through all of those specials in a 60-second commercial. What you can do is sign up for an email alert at glockstore.com/OH24, as in open house 24, OH24. So that's glockstore.com/OH24. I want you to think about Father's Day. If you've got a two-way gun-loving father, maybe a husband, whatever, and you're stuck with what to get them, think about something firearm-related at the Glock Store at their 4th annual open house on Saturday, June 1st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That email address, one more time, as always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, glockstore.com/OH24. The Glock Store's 4th annual open house, minutes from the airport and worth a drive from anywhere, especially on June 1st. Right now, it is 6:52. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
We are learning more about deadly turbulence. Nashville seeing a spike in overdose deaths. Mary O'Connell wants a safety assessment for public transportation after a recent shooting and now a stabbing. A father criminally charged for his daughter's death on an ATV, and fast food price wars at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. 6:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, coming up next, we've got Jonathan Fahey. He's going to join us on all things relating to the Donald Trump hush money trial. It was an absolute train wreck. Michael Cohen admitting on the stand that he stole from Donald Trump. Details straight ahead on WTN.
Seven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to be hotter today than it was yesterday, and then changes come. Tell you about the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Death in midair. Tom Rivers in London has what we've learned so far about a flight from London to Singapore that hit severe turbulence.
Singapore Airlines confirms the death of a passenger and a number of other injuries occurred when flight SQ321 hit strong turbulence. The plane, a Boeing 777, was then diverted to Bangkok at 3:45 in the afternoon local time, where a line of ambulances awaited. The airline offers its deepest condolences to the family of the deceased.
Here in Nashville, Metro Health issuing a spike alert for a spike in the number of overdose deaths in a 24-hour period, most of them occurring downtown. Officials asking people to check on loved ones, make sure they know how to use fentanyl test strips and Narcan, which is free of charge at the Metro Health Pharmacy and preventive care clinics. And right now in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell wants an assessment on the safety of public transportation after a WeGo bus driver was attacked by a rider with a kitchen knife. But prior to that, there was a shooting near a WeGo bus.
We're asking MMPD and WeGo to kind of give us a refreshed assessment of are we leaving something on the table somehow with security at WeGo? We absolutely want it to be a safe place.
The suspect in yesterday's stabbing, 30-year-old Erect allegedly got on the bus screaming and then stabbed the driver after the driver told her to quiet down. Now Scavalli charged with attempted murder. The bus driver going to be okay. The father of a 14-year-old girl killed in an ATV crash in Nashville is facing several criminal charges. Police say 40-year-old Victor Mosqueda should not have let his daughter and another 14-year-old ride an ATV on a public street without supervision or helmets during a birthday party on May 11th. The ATV his daughter was on crashed into a Jeep. She died the following day at the hospital. Mosqueda is charged with criminally negligent homicide involving a minor, 2 counts of reckless endangerment by motor vehicle, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Food fight, more like fast food price wars. Wendy's now offering a $3 English muffin meal after McDonald's introduced its own meal deal. Here's Elizabeth Pancote, Director of Special Initiatives at Roosevelt Institute.
A lot of these fast food companies are moving to only offering the special prices to customers that use their apps. And so kind of this gamification of you log onto an app and you get extra points and rewards, and it's sort of fun to spend money at these restaurants. And so really what we're seeing is these companies switch to a model where they're getting a lot more consumer data by you having to order through their app.
Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 19, S&P up 4, NASDAQ down 3. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into Nashville's Morning News, along with Ken Weaver, Johnny B. Dan Mandis here. Want to welcome on into the program Jonathan Fahey. And, of course, Jonathan has been helping us, figure out this whole hush money case, this hush money trial that is going on with former President Donald Trump. And, some incredible moments yesterday, Jonathan, during the trial. Couple of things happened. Number one, and this is the big one making the news today, a couple of things happened. But number one is Michael Cohen admits that he actually stole something like, $30,000 from Donald Trump's corporation?
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't this stunning when you think about all the bad things that have already come out about Michael Cohen? The repeated lying, his bias against Trump, his bias in favor of, how this will help him by doing Trump in. But before all this came up, he was deceiving Donald Trump. He was going behind his back. He's stealing from the company, biting the hand that feeds him, which is really one of the most disgusting types of behaviors for anyone. And it's almost like you can't believe how bad this case is for the government and how bad this witness is. There's nothing about, it's almost like, what will be, if they put him on for another day, what would come out then? It's hard to believe, but it's just every day is something worse for the government that just reconfirms what we've all been talking about, that this case should have never been brought. It's so outrageous that this is taking the time of, even though they're New York City residents and hate Donald Trump, this should not be taking place in a New York City courtroom. There's so many things that are far more important to the citizens of New York, including their safety, that seems to get ignored by this DA. But that seemed to be the big takeaway was that, plus he admitted he has a financial interest, he stands to gain financially if Donald Trump is convicted. Mm-hmm. And then the second part of it, which you probably were going to get to, was when Donald Trump has now, the defense is presenting a case which has some, I seem to be some fireworks as well. Yeah, you're talking about Robert Costello, and I wanted to, because you're an attorney, of course, and you're former director of ICE, and so you've got obviously a lot of experience in the courtroom. So I want your take on this. So as we have pointed out, and I've pointed out in many monologues now, Robert Costello is Michael Cohen's former attorney. And he knows where all the bones are buried as it relates to Michael Cohen. He had all of this, as we know, exculpatory evidence that could actually help Donald Trump's case, but Alvin Bragg refused to submit that to the grand jury. So Costello then went on Fox News. He testified in front of Congress, basically saying that Michael Cohen right now is lying on the stand. And so the question, I think last time we spoke, Jonathan, should the defense put Robert Costello on the stand? To be honest, I don't remember what you said, but the defense ultimately did. But it turned into a train wreck because as the defense was asking Costello all kinds of questions, the prosecution kept objecting and Judge Merchan kept sustaining the objection. Talk to me. That happened over and over and over again. Talk to me about what's going on there. What's the dynamic? Well, it seems to be, a couple things are kind of interesting. Again, this is from, second, third-hand, accounts. But one, it seemed like when Stormy Daniels was on the stand for the government, she had free reign to kind of talk about whatever she wanted and got into some, kind of crazy and irrelevant areas. And then when Robert Costello got on the stand, everything seemed to be tight and reined in. And I think, one thing that seemed to happen, there was this drama between Costello and the judge that he was making, I think, audible and reactions to some of the rulings which offended the judge, causing him to clear the courtroom. And, one thing that is a concern for the defense is, that's always a gamble. You put somebody on and their other bad stuff could come out, because I think the trial's gone extremely well for Donald Trump. But, it's certainly not a good dynamic when you have a witness that's fighting with the judge, because presumably this jury has been in, they've been in court with this judge, obviously, for however long, weeks and weeks, and they may have some sort of affinity for the judge in the process. So I think that might have been, a little bit concerning, but I think the substance of what he has to say is so damning to the government's case. Basically, I think the core of it is, hey, I was representing or working with this guy, and he didn't say any of this stuff to me, and it would have been very helpful when I was representing him because it would have helped get him out of these charges or reduce the charges or something else. So if he had anything bad about Donald Trump to say, he certainly would have been the strongest position to say it when he represented him. And I think substantively that just, again, is another, I would say nail in the coffin, but I'm not confident Donald Trump gets acquitted because of the New York jury and the judge, I think, is very biased. But, it's just another nail in the coffin, at least figuratively for how bad this case is. Again, it should never have been brought. It just seems so bad on multiple levels.
Former federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey is joining us, also former director of ICE, and kind of breaking down the hush money trial with Donald Trump. And, when you look at Michael Cohen, you look at Stormy Daniels, I had mentioned earlier that if you're a Trump supporter, you should send a thank you card to Alvin Bragg for the people that they're using to try to take down Donald Trump, because it's like playing whack-a-mole, but it's a really easy game because these two witnesses, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, they just have no credibility. But you bring up a great point, which is all that may be true, but this New York jury with this biased judge, in your gut, and maybe if you're speaking to other legal professionals, what do you think is going to happen with this jury?
I don't know. I feel like that's one of these things that I'm totally guessing. I think, I want to believe in the system, and I've done lots of jury trials, and generally juries get to what, at the end of it, whatever, win or lose, you do feel like they generally get to the right place, and their verdicts make sense. So here, the only thing that really makes sense is acquitting Donald Trump of all the charges. So that's why I think, if I believe in the system, that's what should happen, because this case, it really is, it's laughable. And to think, you've, I'm sure, covered lots of cases in your day. Has there ever been a criminal case that is just such a complete joke? And to think that this is against the president of the United States, I've never even heard of anything similar, in terms of the quality of the witnesses, the seriousness of the allegations, meaning being completely unserious, taking up so much time of the community to present this. If you take out Donald Trump out of the equation, no one would even believe that this type of thing is in a courtroom anywhere in the United States.
7:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Jonathan Fahey is joining us. Jonathan, you also do a lot of political analysis, and I'm going to ask you about the upcoming debate straight ahead, because Donald Trump did something that I think gives Joe Biden an off-ramp to get out of this debate, because I don't believe that Biden's people want him to debate. Going to ask you about the former president and his demand for a drug test straight ahead, 7:15. Time to check the roads. Thank you very much. 7:15, sunny today, a high of 91. First day in, long time. First day that we've hit the 90s here for this season. So looking forward to the next couple of days of warmer weather. Right now, though, as far as your weather goes, sunny today, and again, a high of 91. Right now, 69 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jonathan Fahey is joining us. Jonathan, I want to ask you about this moment during the presidential campaign stop for Donald Trump.
And I'm going to demand a drug test too, by the way. I am. No, I really am. I don't want him coming in like the State of the Union. He was high as a kite. I said, "Is that Joe up there? A beautiful robe?" And by the end of the evening, he's like, "Well, he was exhausted, right?" No, we're going to demand a drug test, but Fake Tapper and these people, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fair. I think they.
All right, so that is former President Donald Trump, campaign stop, demanding for a drug test of Joe Biden. And your thoughts, to me, if I'm Biden's handlers who don't want him to debate clearly, is this a moment where they say to Biden, this is where we can get out of this thing? We can just say that Trump is making a mockery of the whole thing, and we're just going to take a step back.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that they probably really are looking for some sort of off-ramp. Like, they couldn't affirmatively get out there and say, we don't want to debate Donald Trump, but now they can say something akin to what you're saying. But it's also funny that Donald Trump just always, whether or not people, like him or not, he always, goes for the heart, goes for the jugular on this. And it's quite funny because it makes the Biden people very uncomfortable, because they know that State of the Union speech was at very least quite bizarre and out of character from the way Biden normally speaks. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. And I think when you brought this up, I think it was last week when I think the news just broke, it was like it kind of didn't make sense that he would all of a sudden want to debate, other than, which I'm sure you've talked about, they must have horrible internal polls that show he's getting crushed and needs to get out of it. And it's also probably, there's people in the DNC that are thinking, this gives us the off-ramp. If he totally bombs, they can go to him and try to maybe go to Jill Biden and try to talk him out of running again and have a chance of installing somebody else. Because, if you saw, I don't know if you saw these speeches over the weekend, the Detroit speech and the college speech. I mean, he's really a disaster, even with prepared remarks. He thought he was vice president during the pandemic and things like that. It's unbelievable. That's not just like a minor slip up. He's concocting this whole version of doing something during the pandemic on behalf of Barack Obama in Michigan, and that just shows he's just completely out there. And then the other thing, that speech at Morehouse State was quite striking, which I think shows, which I'm sure everyone sees this one coming. They feel like they're losing the minority vote, so they're going to go hard on racial division.
Oh, yeah.
Look for opportunities to divide the country on race. I mean, for an 81-year-old president, he should be trying to unite the country, and it's just a cynical division. And that speech was one of the most really dark, cynical, disgraceful speeches for a college commencement. It should be an uplifting speech, maybe congratulate the graduates, their families, but instead it's simply politics in the dirtiest, lowest form of trying to divide people on race, cause racial tension, and there's nothing about that he could possibly argue is good for the country.
No, I mean, it clearly was a campaign speech, and there were so many things that he said which bothered me, but this is the one that I think really stood out among the others.
They don't see you in the future of America, but they're wrong. To me, we make history, not erase it. We know black history is American history.
So Republicans don't see black folks in the future of America. I mean, I don't even know how someone would come to that kind of a conclusion, because clearly that's not the case. And it's my hope that not only, of course, the graduates at Morehouse College, but also, black voters across the country understand that Joe Biden is just pulling these sound bites from, it sounds like 40 or 50 years ago this speech could have been made.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's like they want to make slavery an issue in this campaign.
Yeah.
It's just so it's so absurd. But what's interesting, when you compare Donald Trump to Joe Biden, how Donald Trump never goes after the Democrat voters in terms of criticizing them, but Joe Biden basically says half the country are racist, MAGA Republicans, things like that. Donald Trump goes to the other side and says, vote for me, here's why, and you were better off when I was president, I'll make you better off again. It's truly a different, type of message, and it's really amazing to me. If I was Biden's handlers, I would say give an uplifting speech, talk about the future, talk about how great things are. People want a leader that's optimistic, that sees a bright future, not this cynical, dark, and maybe it works for them on elections. I'm sure it has before, and I think it helped them in 2020, just these racial divisions, the riots that they inflamed as much as they could. But it's just so awful. He has an opportunity, and you think, again, at his age, and again, I think he presented himself as this uniting figure, meaning Biden did, and all he does is personally attack not just his opponents, but his opponents' voters, which, even if he somehow were able to win that way, it's not a great way to win, and it doesn't unite the country in any respect.
No, I mean, one of his favorite lines has always been, "I'm a president for all Americans." Clearly not. And that's part of the dynamic of Joe Biden and, quite frankly, the Democrat Party, is that this is what they always devolve into. Now, and very briefly, do you think there's any chance that the Democrat Party does something to try and remove him from the ticket?
I think there's a chance. I mean, a few months ago, I thought it was enormous that they would try to get rid of him, the chance. But it seems like Biden is stubbornly hanging on. And then they have the Kamala Harris issue, which they don't know how to leapfrog her in a graceful way without offending so many people. So they have this trick bag, but I still think there's a chance. But again, I don't know how they do it, but I think maybe this debate is a good way to get somebody in the room with him after he bombs it. And I don't think, even if he can get through the debate, I'm sure it will be a complete disaster. But I don't know how big the chance is. I mean, I would put it, maybe 25%, but I know a lot of people within the Democratic Party are looking at this, and it's just a looming catastrophe if they keep him on the ballot. And can anyone actually see him serving 4 more years? I don't think anyone can. So that means Kamala Harris, who even this White House has reduced to basically a ceremonial role as vice president, would be the president of the United States in, I would argue, quite serious times. So, it's just such a complicated situation. But I'm sure lots of people and the smart people want to get rid of him, and they just can't figure out how.
It's only a matter of time. We'll have to see what happens. Yes or no? If you are working with Donald Trump and he is demanding this drug test, Biden says, no, I'm not going to take this drug test. Do you debate anyway? Do you draw a line in the sand, or what do you do if you're Donald Trump's campaign manager?
I think you debate him anyway. You wipe the floor with them and then make fun of them for being afraid to take the drug test. And I think that's the move. Donald Trump, I think, when he's on offense, he's good. And, I think he has a great case to make. If you just look at issue by issue, I think, it's a very easy call for the voters. And I think every opportunity he has to draw the contrast is helpful to him.
All right, Jonathan Fahey, always great to have you on. Great political and legal analysis on Super Talk 99.7 at WTN. Have a great rest of day. I'm in the middle of a great backyard makeover. I know the value of updating and upgrading your backyard. And Moon Valley Nurseries, they can help you. And if you've been thinking about upgrading your backyard, this is the company that you need to reach out to. You can find them online, moonvalleynurseries.com/get growing. Now, before you go to the website, I just want you to think about what you would want in your perfect backyard. Then, yes, go to that website, check them out online, moonvalleynurseries.com/get growing. Amy and I were just talking about this yesterday. When you go through this kind of backyard makeover, this kind of renovation, you really do add livable space to your home. When you do this, not to mention increasing the value of your home. So if you're not really quite sure what you need or what you want to do, but you need to do something, get a free design consultation from my friends at Moon Valley Nurseries. You can prepare for any backyard event, big or small. They can help you by creating the perfect setting for anything. It can be a wedding. It can be a kid's birthday party. Moon Valley Nurseries, they can help you. Check them out online. Tell them that WTN sent you. moonvalleynurseries.com/get growing. moonvalleynurseries.com/get growing. 7:25, quickly, Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Death in midair. Spike in overdose deaths in Middle Tennessee. A WeGo bus driver attacked with a kitchen knife. Fire, then explosions in the parking lot of one of Middle Tennessee's most popular recreational areas. And one of our neighboring states' legislature is advancing a mask ban at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
hasn't happened since 1803. And it won't happen again for 200 years. The double brew is emerging. There could be trillions, and they're coming your way. So what can you do in a time like this? Sit back and enjoy a cup of cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Tastes great and totally free of noisy insects. It makes a great gift for friends and family. A great way to commemorate this once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Available for a limited time only at rohoelephant.com.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We're talking about full sun today, then changes come tonight. Yeah, the sun will go down tonight, but wait till you see what's coming or hear what's coming. We'll probably see it too. One dead, multiple injuries after turbulence on a flight from London to Singapore, according to Singapore Airlines. The Associated Press says the plane plunged more than 6,000 feet over a span of 3 minutes. There were just over 200 passengers and crew on this Boeing 777 that had to divert to Bangkok. Right now in Nashville, the Metro Health Department out with what it calls a spike alert, meaning there's been a spike in overdose deaths in the past 36 hours, most of them downtown. The alert asks that you check on loved ones, asks users to take advantage of fentanyl test strips and to carry and know how to use Narcan. You can pick up Narcan free of charge at the Metro Health Pharmacy or any preventive health clinic. Shock and dismay at the news of a WeGo bus driver getting attacked by a woman who was told to stop screaming as she boarded the bus, then attacked the driver with a kitchen knife.
That's terrifying. Just, God, that makes me so sad.
The suspect, 30-year-old Darica Scavalli, is now charged with attempted murder. The bus driver is going to be okay. This happened yesterday around lunchtime at the bus stop at Gallatin Pike and Broadmoor Drive. Nashville Fire working to figure out the cause of a car fire in the parking lot of Nashville Shores Sunday morning that left several other people without cars, damaged and destroyed. This man describing the scene.
Something else combusted and shrapnel started flying. Some debris landed about 2 feet away from where the crowd and I was gathered.
No one was hurt, but multiple cars damaged or destroyed. North Carolina's House of Representatives expected to take on the Unmasking Mobs and Criminals bill, which bans most public mask wearing. The legislation passed by the North Carolina Senate last week. The legislation comes after the demonstrations against the war in Gaza, which have included masked protesters. The bill, which restricts the wearing of face masks in public that can hide a criminal's identity, would repeal the pandemic-era exemption that allowed wearing masks for health reasons. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 7:33, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, coming up next, Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation going to talk about all things Iran straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News. Spring cleaning time in the Mandis house and maybe your house as well. Time to call my friends at Zero Res, and they've got a great offer going on right now. When you call them and mention my name, 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $109. Plus, you're going to get a free hallway. That is over $70 in savings. Plus, you also get a free dryer vent cleaning with air duct cleaning. And if you've got some tile that needs attention, that is 20% off. The savings are never ending at Zero Res. Now, this is the company that comes to my rescue, going to be actually at my house tomorrow. You know, the stuff that lives in your carpet. You've got pet germs and odors and stuff that makes you and your kids sick. Well, Zero Res can get most of that junk out of your carpet, leaving you with soft, fluffy carpets that are going to dry twice as fast. So don't forget that great deal. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $109. Plus, you're going to get a free hallway. That is over $70 in savings and a whole lot more. 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Book online at ZeroResNashville.com. Zero Res, it is the right way to clean. 7:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in along with Johnny B., Ken Weaver, Dan Mandis here, and Stephen Bucci. It's been a minute, Stephen. Always great to have you on Nashville's Morning News, of course, with the Heritage Foundation, foreign policy and legal analyst, among many other things. When to talk about what is going on with Iran, as of course everyone now knows, their president killed in a helicopter crash. I want to talk about, number one, a lot of people are asking me, so I'm going to ask you, talk about sort of like the political hierarchy in Iran. It's the supreme leader who is at number one. The president is like number two, right?
That's correct. The president is more of an implementer than a decision maker. And the president normally focuses on domestic control and financial issues, not on the international relations things and military stuff. He does have power over the military domestically, but the stuff that goes on overseas, the operations of the IRGC Quds Force commandos that are out there around the world, they come directly under the supreme leader and then through the generals in the Quds Force itself. So he's an important guy. Raisi was a bad person. He's known as the butcher of Tehran. He was known even when he was the kind of attorney general of the country. Executions went way up. So he's an honest to goodness bad person. That the world is probably a better place for his absence. But the people that follow him are not suddenly going to turn Iran around or even, a 90-degree turn in any direction.
Yeah, among those lines, from what I understand, President Raisi was being groomed to take over for the current supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He's 85 years old. So does this leave a line of succession crisis in Iran? And how do you see that whole thing playing out?
It doesn't appear that there's a crisis. Obviously, he was the front runner, and now he's gone. But they have already, rumors are already starting that the new front runner is actually Khamenei's son, who is also one of the cleric leaders. So it looks like it'll turn into a familial turnover when the supreme leader passes away. So it doesn't look like there's going to be a big shakeup. It's, again, not any sort of anticipated change of direction. Any of the people who say, well, if we're nice to them, they'll be more moderate, like people in the Biden administration, that is just ludicrously silly. That is not going to happen. The only way this regime is going to change is if the people of Iran rise up to a degree and throw them out.
Well, they did have a bit of an uprising years ago, but Raisi was one of the ones who stamped that out, right?
That's exactly right. He crushed it. The most recent uprising was over the young woman who took off her headscarf and paraded around the town in defiance of the religious police that are there, and that caused, sparked uprisings in a bunch of cities across Iran, mostly led by young women who were treated brutally. There were many killed, many, many more tortured and imprisoned, and it finally, sort of stamped it down low enough so it's at a simmer. That the only possible, if you want to call it positive, if you're in the middle of it, it's probably not that positive, but thing that could happen from this is there are people who are celebrating in Iran over Raisi's death because of his brutal policies in the past. And if the regime decides to go heavy-handed in dealing with those outbreaks, it could provoke more. And maybe this will lead to something where the people throw off this oppressive regime and finally get some freedom inside the country of Iran. Sadly, the particular administration we have is unlikely to be supportive in any way of that sort of movement because they've got people embedded in the Biden administration who still think that the Iranians are going to be a useful partner in peace across the Middle East when they have shown zero inclination to do so, or anything akin to being open to that sort of policy. So wrong person in the White House at this time if that kind of internal dissent breaks out. So I'm guessing it's unlikely to cause any big change.
744, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Stephen Bucci, foreign policy and legal analyst for the Heritage Foundation, among many other things. Stephen, coming up, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. One, regarding this International Criminal Court that is looking to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. That's number one. And number two, Iran is trying to blame Americans and our sanctions for the helicopter crash that killed Raisi. Going to talk about that as well straight ahead. Time to check the roads on Super Talk 99.7. Thank you, Jack. Sunny today, a high of 91 degrees, 70 now at Super Talk 99.7 and WTN. Stephen, let me ask you, sticking with Iran for a second. So they're out there trying to blame American sanctions for that helicopter crash, saying that their aviation was impacted by the sanctions from the West. This is a Bell helicopter, I guess, that was really old, number one. And number two, from what I understand, they don't always do safety checks with their helicopters and airplanes, I guess. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin earlier this morning said America was not involved in this crash in any way, shape, or form. Will Iran, regardless of anything we say, still blame America for the death of President Raisi?
Well, I think that while it may not be a public position for them, from the whatever their, press secretary podium is, but there will be that underlying trend. I mean, this helicopter was given to or sold to Iran during the Shah period. So it's a old helicopter. And even under the best of conditions, we probably wouldn't be flying that helicopter anymore. But because they couldn't get others, they kept using it. Their standards of maintenance and safety are not what you would find in a country like ours or even in any of our Western allies. And the fact that they were flying in what would be clearly soup so thick that there's no way you should have taken a helicopter up in it for any reason. But I'm guessing the president said he didn't want to ride down the mountain in a car.
Yeah.
He was up on a mountain visiting an installation. So they got to blame somebody because it's not acceptable to blame themselves for making stupid decisions. So, yeah, they may point their finger at us. It's like, okay, then maybe you should have stopped trying to kill our people and support the proxies around the Middle East that are causing war and terrorism, and then maybe we could take the sanctions off. But that's not going to happen. What's really bothersome is, could somebody in the Biden administration, say, well, they're right. If we had given them parts, they probably would have been safe. Hopefully nobody will do anything silly like that. But the Iranians will point and say, if you had let us buy that, this wouldn't have happened. Fine. Well, we don't care.
Well,
That's their problem.
Never underestimate the silliness of the Biden administration. One last question here. The International Criminal Court seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, everybody knows what's going on with Hamas, human shields. They're rooted underground. They have a lot of their weapons and their people and perhaps hostages under hospitals and schools. Talk about this whole want, I guess, of the ICC to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu?
It's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. It makes the International Criminal Court look silly. They have just handed Hamas a victory in that they have now, in a court of law, declared complete moral equivalency between the Hamas terrorists who did the massacre on October 7th and the nation of Israel taking action to protect its people after that brutal attack. That it's crazy. I would ask you to remember this same court swore out warrants against George W. Bush and my old boss Donald Rumsfeld during the Bush administration for our actions in Iraq and Afghanistan. And a day after it happened, Secretary Rumsfeld did a press conference and said, well, if that's what they want to do, I guess we'll have to move the NATO headquarters to another country. And 2 days later, they decided to withdraw the indictments. Unfortunately, Israel can't do that for them. But this is just virtue signaling and carries absolutely no weight or no authority against a head of state that is simply protecting his country. It's ridiculous.
Real quick, I've got like 90 seconds left. Israel, Rafah, you got about 4 battalions of Hamas holed up in Rafah. Israel is, I guess, waiting to go in. What's the latest on that? And do you think that Israel will be able to take out Hamas wholly, or is there always going to be some remnants left?
I think there probably will always be some remnants left, but I think Israel will go in and will eliminate those 4 battalions and basically make Hamas a non-player. The problem now comes up, which is the dispute internally in Israel, is what the heck are they going to do with Gaza when they get done? Israel has asked, a coalition of Arab countries to come in and administer Gaza because they don't want to run it. They're not trying to retake Gaza from the Palestinians, but not one Arab country or Muslim country of any sort has volunteered to help and take over the administration of Gaza. So this is on the Muslim world as much as anybody else. That is the one thing that's going to slow Israel down, is them trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do once they destroy Hamas.
Well, and the worry is that it's going to continue to house Hamas, who, after this whole thing ends, if it ever does end, that all of the military action between Hamas and Israel will do nothing but embolden hatred for Israel and the West. And so from the embers, a new generation of Hamas fighters may ultimately be cultivated. Is that a worry?
That is a worry. This is the old thing. You can't kill your way out of this kind of conflict. Well, but you can make the other side ineffective in their ability to fight you, at least for an extended time period. So that is a problem. If you don't get every person that's involved in Hamas, it could reinstate itself and begin to grow again. But it's not like you have a choice. You can't just ignore them when they've already said, we're proud of what happened on October 7th, and we're going to do it again and again and again until Israel is eradicated. When you're talking to people like that, it's kind of hard to be reasonable.
Last question, Stephen Bucci. Any word on whether or not Biden is actually going to bring in refugees from Gaza?
After that one announcement was made, there was such a hue and cry.
Yeah.
The Biden administration went completely silent on it. I think they realized that is a massively dumb idea and one that has horrific national security implications for America domestically. I'm hoping they've thrown that in the trash can where it belongs, but we'll wait and see.
All right.
They do have some odd ideas.
All right, Stephen Bucci, always great to have you on Super Talk 99.7 and Nashville's Morning News. We'll have you on again real soon. 7:53 on Nashville's Morning News. Why do I shop at Brentwood Jewelry? Listen, it is wedding season number 1. So if you're looking for rings, what I like about Brentwood Jewelry is they've got all kinds of selection for not only your taste, but also your budget with no upselling. Now, they've got great ideas for wedding party gifts as well. So don't forget also, in addition to wedding season, if you need an engagement ring, a wedding ring, Brentwood Jewelry is the place to go. But Father's Day is coming up as well. That's going to be on Sunday, June 16th. So that means that you should be getting something for Dad. How about a watch? You know, Brentwood Jewelry has all the best brands, and you'll be able to find something within your budget. So no matter the season, no matter the reason, Brentwood Jewelry has all kinds of gift options for you to choose from. I also, by the way, love that when you walk into Brentwood Jewelry, they've got American flags literally everywhere. This is a great American company that appreciates conservative values. Located in the heart of Brentwood, 7012 Church Street East, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. Shop in store or online at BrentwoodJewelry.com.
8 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full sun and then the hottest temperatures of the year today. Then tonight, another round of potentially severe weather rolls in. Full forecast, traffic updates in 5 minutes. It has been a deadly severe weather season. The risk ramping up again today. Jim Ryan reporting from Texas at the south end of Tornado Alley.
So far, 17 people have died in the 686 confirmed tornadoes that have struck the United States this year. On Sunday in Hydro, Oklahoma.
I took about 2 steps. The house was moving, and I said, it's too late now.
The mobile home where Cole and Heather Sherman lived was picked up, flipped, and torn apart.
Not many make it out, so we're part of the very few that made it out alive.
Their home was destroyed and their possessions scattered, but the Shermans had only minor injuries.
Yeah, 3 more tornadoes touched down yesterday, 1 each in Minnesota, Nebraska, and Colorado. Severe turbulence at 36,000 feet is getting the blame for killing 1 passenger and injuring others on a Singapore Airlines flight from London to Singapore. Reports say the Boeing 777 suddenly plunged 6,000 feet over a 3-minute period. It landed in Bangkok. Here in Nashville, Metro Health has issued a spike alert for a spike in the number of overdose deaths. That happens whenever there's a number of deaths within a 24-hour period. Most of these happened downtown. They ask people to check on loved ones and take advantage of fentanyl test strips, also Narcan, which you can get free of charge at the Metro Health Pharmacy or any preventive care clinic. Mayor Freddie O'Connell wants an assessment on the safety of public transportation after a WeGo bus driver was attacked by a rider with a kitchen knife yesterday. But prior to that, there had been a shooting near a bus.
We're asking MMPD and WeGo to kind of give us a refreshed assessment of are we leaving something on the table somehow with security at WeGo? We absolutely want it to be a safe place.
The suspect in the stabbing, 30-year-old Erect Scavalli, allegedly got on the bus screaming and then stabbed the driver when the driver asked her to quiet down. That suspect now charged with attempted murder. The driver's going to be okay. The father of a 14-year-old girl killed in an ATV crash in Nashville is facing several criminal charges. Police say 40-year-old Victor Mosqueda should not have let his daughter and another 14-year-old ride an ATV on a public street without supervision or helmets during a birthday party May 11th. The ATV his daughter was on crashed into a Jeep and she died the following day at the hospital. Mosqueda is charged with criminally negligent homicide involving a minor, 2 counts of reckless endangerment by motor vehicle, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 23, S&P flat, NASDAQ down 29. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
8:06, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends, and welcome on in. Got to tell you, I feel like we've solved all the world's problems today. We had a deep dive interview on hush money in politics and everything going on with Iran and illegal aliens, migrants being flown into Memphis. There's a lot going on in the world today. You know, I want to revisit this. I did this in the 5 o'clock hour. But I've got a couple of sound bites that I did not yet play. And this is Bill Maher. And last night, he was on Greg Gutfeld's show. And there was a couple of things that were discussed. And I want to get this off my chest. So let me play the first cuts. Bill Maher, Greg Gutfeld last night. And you know my feelings on Bill Maher. I think that the right is sort of trying to treat Bill Maher as, you know, and forgive the usage of this phrase, but it's like Bill Maher is now everybody's pet. He's coming out with a book and he's talking about the insanity of the left. And so everybody wants to have Bill Maher on. But here's my thing. And I've been on this for the last couple of days. And so maybe after today, I promise I'll shut up about it. But why is everybody on the right treating Bill Maher like he is suddenly everybody's best friend and some sort of genius when it comes to political analysis? I mean, let's face it, Bill Maher and people like him, this is the reason why we're in the position that we're in. Because people like Bill Maher advocated for Joe Biden. And so it's hard for me now to jump on the whole, hey, as conservatives, we should all love Bill Maher because he is out there bashing Joe Biden and the craziness of the left. Well, all right, again, I'm going to say it. People like Bill Maher are the reason why we are where we are. It's just like, and I'll play his audio too, just like everybody else, because Maher has definitely been red-pilled, but he's certainly no friend of the right. And I will say that I don't believe he's a friend of America because, you know, it was his advocacy for Joe Biden that put us where we are.
Well, I mean, I agree that it's great that we're talking. I agree that we agree on some things. We're not exactly aligned on the most important things, which is basically Trump is someone who does not concede elections. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You don't seem to see it that way. That's the most important thing that's going on in this country. He didn't concede the last election. He's not going to concede this election.
You don't know that. So, no, he doesn't know that. That's number one. But number two, with Bill Maher, do you really believe that that is the number one problem in America today, is that Donald Trump is not going to succeed an election that hasn't even happened yet? Is that really what you're doing, Bill Maher? See, that's the thing that I don't really quite understand. And I'm not going to bash Greg Gutfeld because it was a very lively conversation. And so the conversation sort of drifted into other areas. But for Bill Maher, as I said before, very typical limousine liberal who doesn't actually relate to the people who are dealing with the ramifications of his advocacy for Joe Biden back in 2020. Number one problems in this country, in no particular order. You got your economy, you got your inflation, illegal immigration, crime, migrant crime, crumbling infrastructure, a president who can't put two words or thoughts together, or the lawfare that we're seeing take place in America today. Yet somehow Bill Maher believes that Donald Trump not going along with the election results of an election that hasn't even happened yet. Does that make any sense to you? And he continues down this road.
Again, he's an insurrectionist who doesn't believe in democracy, so of course it's bothering me. And of course he's also insane and a criminal and stupid.
Except for that, Bill.
But I got to say,
that, I'll vote for him.
So Bill Maher says that Donald Trump is a criminal. What is he? He's a criminal. He's insane.
It's bothering me. And of course, he's also insane and a criminal and stupid.
He's insane. He's a criminal and he's stupid. Can somebody tell me what? And again, nobody on that panel stopped Bill Maher and said, wait a minute, Donald Trump is a criminal. Can you Can you tell us what crime he's been convicted of?
Except for that,
but,
Bill.
But I got to say,
I'll vote for him.
Like, I mean, look, he's almost the same age as Biden, but Biden presents as old.
Yeah.
Ancient.
Yeah,
that
true.
does not look old.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't.
He does not present as old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Kiss. He puts on the wig and the face paint, and it's 1976 all over again.
Those were the days.
So again, Bill Maher saying things that conservatives have been saying all this time. Although we were called operatives for Vladimir Putin, we were called Nazis, we were called racists and ageist and all of the other things. But now Bill Maher is everybody's favorite guest because he is saying the same thing that we've all been saying for a long time. And it's crazy. And again, people are sort of on the super text line bagging on Fox News and the folks that were on this panel, because nobody, from Greg Gutfeld to some of the other folks, nobody, Dr. Drew was on this panel, actually. And nobody called out Maher, but it was a very freewheeling, fast conversation. So nobody really had the opportunity to really stick it to Bill Maher. But when he starts spewing the stuff that he's spewing, they're so easily disputable and provably wrong. I mean, part of what I would also say is a big problem here in America, I mentioned it just moments ago, is lawfare. You know, trying to take out Trump using the notion of show me the man and I'll find you the crime. Well, the Democrats have been attacking democracy for years because, you know, Maher is all about and the left is all about, Donald Trump is a danger to democracy and put democracy in air quotes. But look at the list. I typed out this list of all of the things that the Democrats have been doing to attack democracy for years. You got Hillary and John McCain, of course, he was involved too, but Hillary and the Steele dossier, the Mueller investigation, trying to impeach Donald Trump twice over absolute BS. Now we have these 4 attempts to try and take out Donald Trump via baseless claims, the hush money case, classified documents case, which, by the way, Joe Biden clearly is far guiltier than Donald Trump ever was in the classified documents case. The Georgia case, where Donald Trump's words regarding finding 11,000 votes is being completely taken out of context. Then you have the case out of the state of New York, where Trump is accused of inflating his real estate holdings, which most folks say is complete BS. Then you could talk about the E. Jean Carroll case, where you've got this defamation judgment against Trump, where they're talking about $100 million. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. Then, of course, you have Colorado and other states trying to take Donald Trump off of the ballot. Yet Bill Maher thinks Donald Trump is the threat to democracy. Bill Maher believes that Donald Trump not conceding an election that hasn't even happened yet is America's number one problem. And yet somehow Bill Maher is considered, I don't know, some sort of a political analyst genius, which he's really not. I mean, if I was to, and I'm not, but if I was to base all of my opinion on Bill Maher on that one comment, I would believe that he's a blithering idiot. Now, I don't believe that he is, but I guess I'm just getting a little persnickety over the fact that, you know, every conservative out there is ushering Maher onto their show because he's willing to say the things that we have all been saying for a long time. It is 8:15, time to check the roads on WTN. $8:16, sunny today, a high of 91. Right now, 75 degrees at Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. All right, so I've said my piece on Bill Maher. They also, in this segment with, you had Bill Maher, Dr. Drew Pinsky, Greg Gutfeld, and some other folks. And they talked about polarization in America.
We are polarized. I don't think we can deny that. The point is that we can also be friends. That's it.
Right.
We can't. Let's not pretend that these disagreements are not profound. Let's just say, okay, they are profound, but you know what? There's 90 other things we could talk about which we wouldn't disagree on. And I can't hate you. I've said it a million times. You can hate Trump. You can't hate all the people who like him. It's half the country.
You know, I get that. I do. And I actually appreciate what Maher is saying. But at the same time, you know, you can't burn my house down and expect to be my friend. You can't call the guy who I like as president, you can't call him a literal Nazi or Hitler and expect to be my friend. Now, I want to be very careful and note one more time, I've never canceled anyone out of my life because of their politics. Now, I've had people call me a racist, and that's when I cut the cord. But the bottom line is, as far as the polarization goes, the left is far more apt to cut you out of their lives than conservatives are. So I appreciate what Bill Maher is saying. But the other point that I would make is you can't take away my right to vote for the guy I want to vote for and expect me to talk to you about sports or music. Now, I do understand that a lot of this is, you know, DC intrigue and that kind of thing. But if you're someone who supports all of this lawfare, then yeah, it is kind of hard to be friends. If I was sitting with somebody and they said, oh yeah, Trump, you know, and it just go down all of the things that somebody like Bill Maher would talk about, well then it is hard to have a relationship based on mutual admiration and respect when somebody is saying the kinds of things that, you know, Bill Maher or some of these folks on the left are saying. I appreciate the notion of being friends with somebody you disagree with, and I'm able to do that. But when it comes to somebody who doesn't believe that Donald Trump should be allowed to run for president or that he is some sort of a air quoting threat to democracy, the whole thing just seems rather ridiculous. By the way, Marco Rubio and Kirsten Welker, I had this audio yesterday, never got around to playing it. We were so busy. But maybe you've heard this, maybe you haven't. Marco Rubio and Kirsten Welker going toe-to-toe on, again, this whole notion of the upcoming election in 2024 in November.
Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter what happens, Senator?
No matter what happens? No, if it's an unfair election, I think it's going to be contested by either side.
Senator, no matter who wins.
I think you're asking the wrong person. The Democrats are the ones that have opposed every Republican victory since 2000. Every single one. It's Hillary Clinton.
No Democrat has refused to concede. Hillary Clinton conceded. Senator, will you accept the election results?
Hillary Clinton said the election was stolen from her and that Trump was illegitimate. Kamala Harris agreed. We have Democrats now.
Senator, she conceded the election.
That's such a beat. You almost had to dump me there, Johnny. You know, we had to dump Brian the other day. He called somebody an a-hole. I don't know exactly what the context was, but that is so BS. For Kirsten Welker, she is being intellectually dishonest because, yeah, Hillary may have conceded the election. I don't remember, to be honest. I've kind of blocked some of that stuff out. But she ran around, still today, she runs around calling Donald Trump an illegitimate president. So Kirsten Welker and Rubio is spot on. Kirsten Welker is being intellectually dishonest, and Marco Rubio is calling her out.
She said that Trump was illegitimate. She said that the election had been stolen.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fact. I mean, you know, trigger warning. Here's a little bit of Hillary.
President, you can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
I mean, listen, so you can talk about how Hillary conceded the election, but I think that she may have said the words, but her actions were completely different. I mean, you have the montage out there. I've played it 1,000 times. I'll try and tweet it out real quick. But you've got the montage of all of these Democrats calling Donald Trump an illegitimate president. From Joe Biden to Kamala Harris to Hillary Clinton, Jimmy Carter even said it. And so, far as I'm concerned, as far as Marco Rubio goes and Kirsten Welker, I mean, Rubio was absolutely right to do what he did, which is basically give her the God's honest truth, and she refuses to see it.
And you have Democrats now saying they won't certify 2024 because Trump is an insurrectionist and ineligible to hold office. So you need to ask them. I think you've had have you ever asked a Democrat this question on your show? I bet you've never asked a Democrat that question.
No, she hasn't. And by the way, real quickly, let me get through this, because that's what I've been saying all along. Why don't you ask the Democrats, and why don't you ask if you're Marco Rubio and somebody says, you know, will you support the election results of 2024? Will you, Kirsten Welker?
You couldn't even talk about it because they said it was Russian disinformation.
Talking about the laptop.
Senator Rubio.
Voters in many cases didn't even hear about it because it was blacked out by the media.
We did cover the election, and just to note that Chris Krebs, who was a top Trump election official.
Yeah, you see what she did there? Well, we covered the election, but you didn't let people talk about the laptop, and you called it, you said that it had no credibility, when in reality you had the story and the laptop that did have credibility.
But I'm telling you that if it's unfair, we are going to do the same thing Democrats do. We're going to use lawyers to go to court and point out the fact that states are not following their own election laws.
Absolutely. And Kirsten Welker, she keeps going back to the same thing. Yes, but will you accept the results from 2024? And Rubio's saying, why in God's green earth would I say that? Why would I say that if there's something hinky that goes on in the election in November? Duh.
And let's not forget the election of 2000, when the Democrats were just constantly wanting recount after recount with Al Gore.
That's exactly right. And also don't forget, and I'm running way late, but also let's not forget that Joe Biden hired 400 election attorneys as well in case he lost. So I like that Marco Rubio, don't cower to these jackholes who are consistently and constantly going back to 2020 and saying, you're not going to accept the election results of 2024. You know what? If there's something stupid about it, I'm not going to. And if you don't like that, well, that's too bad, so sad. 824 on WTN. Dan Mandis here. Opening up your home to showings means that strangers can open anything in your home. Now, don't worry about getting around to spring cleaning, and sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, and skip the cleaning and organizing necessary to sell your home. So you can say goodbye to the stress that comes with a traditional home sale when you go with Mark Spain Real Estate and their guaranteed offer. Call them at 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. You can also find them online, as always, markspain.com. That's markspain.com, and sell your home with confidence. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 855-299-SOLD, markspain.com, and start packing. 824, Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Deadly 6,000-foot plunge. The Trump campaign on the defense after a staffer posted a video to the former president's social media account. President Biden hits the road today for an event with veterans and their families, and fast food price wars at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It hasn't happened since 1803. And it won't happen again for 200 years. The double brew is emerging. There could be trillions, and they're coming your way. So what can you do in a time like this? Sit back and enjoy a cup of cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Tastes great and totally free of noisy insects. It makes a great gift for friends and family. A great way to commemorate this once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Cicada-free, freshly brewed coffee. Available for a limited time only at rohoelephant.com.
8:29, Nashville's Morning News on WTN News with Ken Weaver is coming up next. And big news from my friends at Window Nation. It is their semi-annual sale going on right now through May 31st. And this is a really big deal where you can save a whole lot of money and get some incredible windows. For a limited time only, Window Nation is celebrating by giving you 50% off all windows. That's right. I'm going to repeat that. 50% off all windows, along with 0% interest for 5 years, plus an additional bonus savings offer when you schedule an appointment now. Got to use my name when you call 866-90-NATION. And with Window Nation's semi-annual sale, you can replace your old windows and, yes, save a ton of money. So if your old windows leak water, have condensation, are moldy or rotten, get hot to the touch, or you're just tired of paying high utility bills for heating and air conditioning, that is a very big deal. So call Window Nation today and get that special deal, 50% off all windows, plus 0% interest for 5 years, and a savings offer, a bonus savings offer when you schedule your appointment today. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION. You can find them online, windownation.com.
$8:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are tracking what could be the hottest temperatures of the year today. And then tonight, changes come. Could be another round of severe weather. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And we've learned that a 73-year-old British man died. At least 30 other people were hurt when a Singapore Airlines flight from London to Singapore hit severe turbulence. That Boeing 777 plunging suddenly 6,000 feet. Election 2024. Stephen Portnoy says the Trump campaign finds itself having to explain a post to former President Trump's social media account.
What happens after Donald Trump wins?
The online video reposted to Trump's Truth Social account shows fake future headlines. One in tiny print speaks of a unified Reich. The line was apparently lifted from Wikipedia on the formation of Germany before World War I. The Biden campaign seized on the line, saying the video proves Trump wants to rule as a dictator. The Trump camp says it didn't create the video, that it was merely reposted by a staffer while the candidate was in court.
As Stephen Portnoy reporting, President Biden, by the way, hitting the road today in New Hampshire. He'll do an event with veterans and their families, announcing his administration has approved more than 1 million claims from veterans exposed to toxic burn pits and other hazards on military bases in Iraq and Afghanistan, as part of the promise to address Comprehensive Toxics Act, or the PACT Act, which the president signed into law in the summer of 2022. Fast food price wars. Andrew Dembert says Wendy's is now firing back at McDonald's, who just introduced its own meal deal.
Wendy's now offering a $3 English muffin deal, which includes seasoned potatoes and your choice of a bacon or sausage, egg, and cheese English muffin sandwich. The meal, less than the average cup of coffee. This as McDonald's announced their own limited-time $5 value meal deal just last week, responding to tough feedback about rising prices online.
Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Let's check the opening numbers. We are 2 minutes into the trading day, and right now it is pretty much flat. The Dow is down 2, the S&P down 7, NASDAQ is down 59. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 8:33 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Springtime in Middle Tennessee. Coming soon, summer. Already feeling those summer-like temperatures, 91 degrees today. So if you need some outdoor furniture, maybe some lawn equipment, my friends at DT McCall's can help you. This is the place to go for whatever you need to get ready for hotter weather. Lawn mowers and patio furniture and a whole lot more. Stop on by one of DT McCall's 5 locations or find them online. Maybe you need some kitchen appliances, maybe washer and dryer sets, or any type of home furnishings. DT McCall's has great value and great customer service as well. Now, they've been in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they've lasted so long because of that great customer service and outstanding quality of products as well. So be sure and tell them Dan Mandis told you to stop by one of their 5 locations: Carthage, Franklin, Cookeville, Lafayette, Lebanon. Always online, dtmccalls.com. 8:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Time for the Gang of Four Amigos. Brought to you by My Patriot Supply at preparewithmandis.com. Good morning, Chris Hand. Welcome back.
Hey, good morning.
And Johnny B's here. Ken Weaver as well.
Good morning, boys. Yeah.
Good morning.
So you guys ever hear of Rilo Huncho? Am I saying that right?
I think so.
Yeah, Rilo Huncho is a rapper, 17-year-old rapper. This is a story that has been, would you say it's going viral?
Yes, it's absolutely going viral. I've seen the video on a couple different accounts.
So he's a 17-year-old rapper, and he's on Instagram Live, and he's playing around with a gun.
Smart.
And he is he trying to do some sort of a live music video?
Yeah, he's like rapping his song and he's pointing the gun at the camera.
Yeah. And then, of course, he takes the gun, points it to his head, pulls this trigger, and a fatal oops. There's a bullet in the chamber, and he shot himself live on Instagram.
Accidentally.
Yeah,
And
I saw that, but at the time I saw it, people were wondering if it had actually happened.
Yeah, people were trying to say, is this a hoax? It's not. They have a GoFundMe set up.
It really happened then.
Yeah.
So this guy, he's on Instagram Live. He's a rapper.
Goodness.
And when you look at the video, he's treating this gun like it's just
a toy.
And then he points it to his head and he pulls the trigger. And there was a bullet in the chamber, and he shot himself live on Instagram. And people are saying, "Oh, this is so fatal. It's like, this is so tragic." It's like, well, I guess tragic is one way to look at it. Stupid would be another.
Yeah.
I mean, what this boils down to is disrespect for life and the gun. It's like if I will say anything about rappers and this kind of thing, and I don't know anything about this dude, but there is a disrespect for life and there is a disrespect for firearms, because if you have ever, and I've, of course, shot guns, and it really makes you respect the firearms every time you shoot it. Every time I shoot that gun, the power of that gun, that is not a toy. And the way that this Rilo Huncho was playing around with this thing with a bullet in the chamber, of course, he didn't know the bullet was in the chamber, but...
Well, he might have known. I mean, but it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Take the bullets out. If you're trying to be hard on a music video and use it as a prop, you take the bullets out. He did it in his mom's bathroom.
Oh, that's great.
He has a single mom. He's in her bathroom. Yeah. There's multiple videos of him doing this on Instagram.
Man.
And yeah, what are you doing? I feel for his mom. I mean,
I feel for his mom.
Absolutely.
I do. Why is it that this culture has such a glamorized sort of viewpoint of these guns? Like, and I'm a 2A supporter, very much so. You folks know that. But the way that this rapper is using this gun in this culture, it's like they're looking at it the wrong way.
They're looking at it like a prop.
They're looking at it like a prop, and they're making it look like the gun is supposed to make them tough.
Yep.
And no, that's not the way it's done. And unfortunately, what happens then is you have these idiots that are, playing with guns like they're toys, and then something like this happens. It's awful.
And we keep calling him a rapper, but realistically, he wasn't famous for his rap music. He wasn't famous until he shot himself in the head because he was misusing a firearm. He's 17 years old. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if this didn't happen to him, we would have never known his name, and he probably would have been arrested for an illegal handgun.
Yeah.
And maybe have done this to somebody else.
Yeah.
It comes down to a disrespect of firearms and a disrespect for life. Because you see these guys, and whether they're gangbangers or whatever, and they're walking around and they're shooting sideways, and they don't care where the damn bullets go. They're shooting at each other, and innocent people get caught in the crossfire. And I've made my opinion perfectly clear on this stuff. If these folks want to shoot themselves or shoot each other, that's their choice. But when innocent people, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, like we see on the south side of Chicago, accidentally get shot and killed, or maimed, that's when, you really get frustrated and angry.
And is the Biden administration going to release a statement for this kid, or are they going to say that black people are being hunted down in the streets like he did at the NAACP dinner?
Oh, don't get me started on that. I played that audio yesterday.
They're working on it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're typing up, some sort of a anti-2A measure. If we could only have saved one life.
Yeah, seriously.
No, you've brought some audio.
I do.
All right, so I'm just gonna play this, and then let you explain what in the world this is. Is this a bunch of women screaming?
Screaming and pounding sticks on a dirt gravel road in the woods.
Running from cicadas, I guess.
Going after cicadas, Johnny? No, I don't think so.
Running from them.
Running from them.
All right, so this is a summer camp.
That's a summer camp.
It's a summer camp. Do you guys know how much this camp costs to attend? 10 to 12 grand.
Wow.
$10,000 to $12,000.
It's called a rage ritual retreat.
Okay.
And wealthy women are paying to attend this, and it's hosted by an actual witch by the name of Mia Benducci, a self-proclaimed mystic who leads the rage ritual.
All right.
So this is a video where you have a bunch of women, and they're taking these sticks and they're slamming them on the ground and screaming, and they're paying thousands of dollars for this?
And they're saying, how do you feel? And one woman is slamming a stick on the ground, screaming, I feel sad. You should watch the video. It's on my Twitter, at Chris Hand on Air.
I'm going to watch the video because,
So then I start diving down rabbit holes, and I want to find out more about this Mia Benducci.
Yeah.
She actually walks around wearing a witch hat, like the Witch of the Wicked West. I found her Instagram. This is no joke. This is what she does.
Okay.
Mia Magic with a K.
Like a big black hat kind of a thing?
Yep.
Okay.
And she actually broke down what the rage ritual is for.
All right.
Rage has been demonized and villainized, especially in the feminine. But our sacred rage is what has incited so many movements, created so much change on our planet. It is imperative that we allow ourselves safe spaces to release this fiery, hot emotion from within us so that it can no longer poison or toxify our internal emotional reality. We have to give ourselves permission to fully emote, to release that which has remained stuck and suppressed inside of ourselves in order to be free.
And for $10,000 to $12,000, you can release that.
Wow.
We are in the wrong business.
Yes, we are.
This tells you that there's a couple dozen suckers born every minute.
Oh, yeah.
She's got 130,000 followers on Instagram.
What are they angry about? Like, I
think it's the patriarchy.
Men?
I think
Yes.
so. The wage gap, I think.
How many men are out there like, this is where my alimony's going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When I posted it on Twitter, I said, I don't think this summer camp is for me. And I had so many people commenting like, I think my ex-wife went there.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of us were thinking that anyway, so.
But this woman wears her witch hat on Instagram. She's got 130,000 followers. Here, look at this. So this is her. But really what she does is she just shows her butt and thongs, and that's what she gets the followers for.
Okay.
There,
we found the secret.
That's what
She's not bad looking.
No.
Button thongs and all that.
I mean, but you got to be careful. She'll put like a hex on you.
Well, Dan has a thing for witches, I think.
You know what's so funny? The second you brought up the Wicked Witch of the West, I knew somebody, Johnny, would bring it up.
You knew.
I was thinking it.
You just
Dan.
can't. You know what's so funny, Johnny? Everybody was thinking it. I know that.
I'll
Everybody
never
was
forget
thinking
that
it.
day. I mean, that was just.
I wish you would.
That was a kumbaya. I just can't. I can't get it out of my head.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I know parents are looking for summer camp options.
Can you imagine if that was a bunch of men, how everybody would be screaming about toxic masculinity?
Oh, yeah.
If it was a bunch of guys, we'd just have a cigar and a whiskey and a fire.
You know what?
Yeah, we would.
I was going to say, a lot of men, I don't see us doing this, dude.
We wouldn't be screaming.
No.
We might be saying,
What do you
hell
feel?
yeah.
What do you feel? It's like, I don't know. I feel like an idiot because I paid $12,000 to, beat the ground with a stick.
A little embarrassed.
Look at some witch in a thong.
Yeah. I you know who I would like to talk to? Not this woman, but I'd like to talk to one of the women who did this, and I would like to know how it felt to be ripped off in real time.
Do you have buyer's remorse at the end of the retreat?
Do you have buyer's remorse? See, I would be angry that I spent that much money to take a stick and beat the ground.
Yep.
I wonder if Megan Barry was there. I just picture her going. I don't know why. Just me.
I don't know.
I didn't. I had to resign.
I could see Hillary doing something like this. Envisioning Donald Trump.
Envisioning Bill.
Wasn't there rumors that she essentially did that right after she found out she lost?
Yeah, you know what? I think that might be the same audio.
That's why it sounded like a Chappaqua.
It's so funny.
Hillary, how do you feel, baby?
If you watch the video, and I'm watching it real quick. If you watch the video, it is actually kind of funny. And you know what also is funny? Some of those women look like the kind of women that would do this.
Oh yeah. There's a type.
Yes, there is.
There is a type.
I bet they haven't shaved. I bet they have hairier legs than us.
I'm not quite sure where else to go with this. So, anyway, very good. Anything else, gentlemen?
Where do you go from there?
That's got it for me, man.
Yeah, that kind of put a big period on the end of that.
Do you think corporate would finance us infiltrating the camp? Because we could be how dare you tell me I don't identify that way?
We could identify. Yes. We could identify as women, and then we could
witches. And witches.
Yes. And we could just take our sticks and start beating the crap out of the ground.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of reasons to be angry.
Well, isn't that hurting Mother Earth?
Yes, it is. That is torturing Mother Earth. That's abusing Mother Earth.
Yeah. That is abusing Mother Earth.
How dare you?
Most guys will just go to the batting cages or, you know what I mean? Maybe go hit some golf balls. So
most of us would just sit around a campfire and
swat cicadas.
Yeah. And we wouldn't get in touch with each other's feelings.
In all honesty, is there a male equivalent to that? What do men do when we've got all that rage pent up?
We watch a boxing match.
Hold it in until we explode.
Yeah. Get some punching bags out there.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, keep it.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't want to hear about your problems. Got problems of my own.
0621 on the Members Nutrition text line said, I smell patchouli and purple hair dye.
Boy, that's the truth.
Patchouli?
Patchouli.
Remind me what patchouli is again.
It's a scent.
Is it a scent?
Hippies really like it.
You know what they need? Do you know what they need? They need to get stoned. Like that. That's what they really need. I'm not advocating for the,
I guarantee you they are.
Smoking the devil's lettuce, but I'm just saying.
I guarantee you they are, Dan.
You think that? No.
Oh, yeah, Dan.
Johnny B.
Come on, Dan.
People who are stoned don't do this.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Have you never been around? Do you not remember the hippies that were part of the Earth movement screaming at the trees?
And rocks?
No, I don't remember that.
I'm sorry, tree.
Chris, you're a stoner. Is that what stoners do?
Boy,
what are you talking
where'd
about?
that come from?
Man, I'm just kidding.
He's just slanging accusations like these women are slanging sticks.
Yeah.
Here's what's bad. Right after Dan said that, somebody turned their radio off.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing they heard.
Yeah. Well, I'm never listening again. Chris is on drugs.
Chris is not on drugs. Although content like this, we may have to start.
Unlike Biden, I'll take a drug test before my show.
There you go.
And you don't lose energy at the end.
No, I keep it. We're
keep
consistent.
it going. You keep it going.
All right, what's coming up next?
Tim Burch is going to join the show around 9:15. He's going to talk about the Thomas Massie bill to end the Fed that he is jumping on board with. So that's going to be an interesting discussion. Plus, I wasn't here yesterday. I got a lot to catch up on.
You do.
Boy, oh boy, did we have some fun. Marco Rubio on Meet the Press, Biden at an NAACP dinner, and more. So we got plenty to go through.
Yeah, you may have some good audio, but do you have...
He calls the erectionists who stormed.
Yeah, that audio?
I do.
So you got erection coverage.
I have erection coverage.
The erectionists who stormed Capitol Hill, patriots.
There you go.
The best part is how the White House cleaned up the transcript from that dinner, and I have all the corrections.
All right, all that and more coming up.
So you have all the erections.
I have all the erections.
And you have everything about erection interference.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
I'm going to try and do a commercial now.
All right.
8:53, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Listen, if you're running a fast-growing business in Nashville, listen up, because NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to Nashville Tuesday, June 25th, so don't miss it. Now, why Nashville? Because NetSuite knows Nashville is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. Apply to attend the business event of the year, Business Grows Here, taking place at the Conrad Hotel on Tuesday, June 25th. Now you're going to learn how Tennessee is paving the way for new business growth and capital. See how technology, fueled by AI, is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. And you'll be inspired by leaders who have built and led billion-dollar businesses, like Jamie Siminoff, founder of Ring Video Doorbell, and Burke Nihill, CEO of the Tennessee Titans. NetSuite by Oracle Business Grows Here. It is free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out, because seats are going quickly. Mark your calendars, Tuesday, June 25th. Apply right now at netsuite.com/Nashville, netsuite.com/Nashville.
Sponsored by Bank of America.
Ellington Parkway, some stop and go at Hart Lane. Also 40 West at Fairfield. They're still trying to get that wreck out of the way between Old Hickory and Hickory Hollow Parkway. Some stop and go. 65 is cleared out for the most part. A little bit of volume here at 440 and 24 into 65 here at the north side. Still a little bit of the crowd. I'm Jack Welbeck. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.